companies in the blue chip names where you can buy and sit tight. And I'm sure people are looking for micro caps and the small caps for investment and trying to find out the multi baggers. But there are enough multi baggers available in the market in the frontliner also. So go and study on your charts. You will definitely find a lot of people, buying a lot of banks at this stage. There was a huge hype for the last 2 years in IT stocks. IT has done whatever it wanted to do. So you should try to understand the money which is coming out of IT, where it is going now. If the capex is coming out, the money is definitely going towards auto. It is definitely going towards the banking sector also. You can see today also, the banking sector was the first to take out, and it blow out like 500 points intraday. That is a different issue that, during the day, the bank nifty went up and it came down in the negative and then again closed in the positive. So money is same all over the world. Sometime it will go to crude, sometime it will go to bitcoin, sometime it will go to bonds, sometime it will come back to the equities. So you have to try and analyze that where the smart money is moving from and to which sector. To me, I personally feel that the smart money is shifting from IT to banking to auto to reality. So these are the three topics which you should be keeping on your radar, and try to take out the patterns on the weekly time frames, on the monthly time frames, because daily time frame and intraday and 60 minutes and 75 minutes will definitely not going to work out for you. Because if you try to play out on a breakout, any breakout will fail in next 10 minutes. That is for sure. If I'm wrong in 10 minutes, then definitely for next day morning, whatever trade you are taking on the breakout, next day morning you will definitely hit back and you will book the loss. So, my point of view is that smart money is shifting from one sector to another sector. There are enough sectors in Nifty itself. Go and try and analyze. There is metal, there is banking, there is FMCG, there is auto, there is banking. So, like, the money keeps flowing from one sector to another sector. The money what it wanted to play, it has already played in the IT sector. Now the money from IT sector has shifting from some to some other sector. So go and analyze. You open your screen from 9:15. If you sit in the front of your screen till 3:30, you will definitely be able to understand what the stock and what the sector is trying to tell you. And I'm sure if somebody is a seasoned trader or a seasoned investor in this market, he or she will definitely be able to make out where the money is right now. So be with the trend, and trend is your friend. When you are with your friend, you will definitely make money out of this market. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Right. Very, very good view, Vipin. So I think there is a distribution going on in a nutshell. That is what he's trying to say. Thank you so much for your view, sir. Ayush, do you want to talk about your views on market?
Yeah, I no, I just joined because Ashutosh was there. Actually, I've been on cash. I think for 2 3 weeks now. 72% I've been on cash, and the remaining 20 25% position. So 10% is in sovereign gold bonds, and the remaining 10% is in index funds. So even my view is bearish. I'm not a well-read person, so I can't say कि क्या क्या factors at play हैं. But honestly,
Hi,
there are
Ayush.
so many things that are there that it's better to hold out and see what is going to happen.
Ayush, hi, welcome. आवाज आ
Yeah,
रहा है भाई? यस
मेरी
यस.
आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ हाँ, परफेक्ट. सो ये बता भाई, तू बहुत अच्छा कनेक्टेड, यू आर वेल कनेक्टेड एंड यू टॉक टू अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल ऑल द टाइम, राइट?
अरे I am like one of those people who like rarely talk to people. वो तो अभी डर लग गया था तो सब बेच बाच के आधा पैसा गोल्ड में डाल दिया, आधा इंडेक्स में डाल दिया,
बट
वो भी
इन
आधा
जनरल,
नहीं.
लोगों का क्या चल रहा है पोजीशन? सो कैन यू टेल अस लाइक सेंटिमेंट
Uh,
कैसा है, इन जनरल पोजीशंस
the
कैसा है?
few people that I talk to are primarily in cash. The few people I talk to, they are primarily in cash and they are just trading with 5 to 7% of their portfolio.
मतलब एंटरटेनमेंट.
एंटरटेनमेंट कर रहे हैं. These are the few people I talk to. बाकी primarily.
Ayush, we lost you, I guess.
Sorry, I had a call. I just cut it. Yeah. Sorry. What did you say?
Yeah, you were continuing with your,
Huh, so
cash primarily there.
exactly, the few people that I talk to, they are primarily in cash. They've been in cash for some time now, but they've increased their cash holdings. Uh, Specifically, the IPO, the rate hike, the elections, reasons वही हैं. क्या ट्रिगर करेगा अभी वॉर तो का ये अभी हुआ है, वॉर का जो सीन हुआ है तो अभी हुआ है,
What the-
तो ट्रिगर क्या करेगा नहीं पता, बट दे आर प्राइमरीली इन कैश द पीपल दैट आई टॉक टू. मतलब नो.
सर एक बात बोलूं आपको.
हाँ बोलिए सर.
Yes.
देखो, सपोज आई विल गिव यू अ वेरी लेमैन एग्जांपल. अगर आप रोड पे जा रहे हैं, किसी का एक्सीडेंट हो गया, गाड़ी वाला उतर के ऑटो वाले को थप्पड़ मार देता है, तो वो एक बार थप्पड़ मारेगा, दो बार मारेगा, तीसरी बार वो थक जाएगा. अभी ये रशिया और यूक्रेन बहुत हो गया. कारगिल के टाइम का आप चार्ट खोल के देखिए, यू विल गेट योर आंसर. इट इज नॉट दैट कि एवरी डे द मार्केट इज बीन बीटन डाउन फॉर रशिया एंड यूक्रेन वॉर. ये इनका 20 साल से चल रहा है प्रॉब्लम. अभी
Vipin
होने
ji,
वाला कुछ भी नहीं है, होने
No,
वाला कुछ भी
no,
नहीं है.
Vipin ji,
Vipin
इट
ji,
इज
I
जस्ट.
completely agree with
Vipin ji,
you.
just
I completely agree with you. And मैं इसीलिए तो बोल रहा हूँ कि मैं इतना वेल ना कनेक्टेड हूँ ना वेल रेड हूँ कि मैं बोल सकता हूँ कि
अरे लड़
नहीं नहीं, बट यू कैन ऑलवेज एक्सप्रेस योर व्यूज.
हाँ.
दैट इज
सो
नॉट अ इशू. आई मीन यू आर ऑलवेज वेलकम टू
मेरे को
एक्सप्रेस योर
पूछा गया
व्यूज.
कि लाइक द पीपल आई एम इन टॉक विथ, तो मेरे जितने भी 4-5 दोस्त हैं वो तो कैश में बैठे हुए हैं अभी. तो मैं भी कैश में ही बैठा हुआ हूँ. जितना 20% है डिवाइडेड, मैंने तो ब्लॉग भी लिखा हुआ है उस चीज के ऊपर, तो अभी रिसेंटली लिखा था.
Yes,
सर
yes.
आप मार्केट का सेंटीमेंट ना स्क्रीन से रीड कर सकते हो. यू डोंट हैव टू गो बैक टू एनी ऑफ द फ्रेंड्स, बिकॉज
अरे
पीपल
Vipin
पीपल
ji,
पीपल.
Benji, just a second, just a second. I'm not sure if you know Ayush, but he's a very well connected and well read guy. He's just being too humble
मैं
here.
सच में इतना ना वेल कनेक्टेड हूँ ना वेल रेड हूँ, पर आई रिस्पेक्ट ओपिनियन ऑफ पीपल बिकॉज आई एम हम्बल इनफ टू नो दैट एंड अंडरस्टैंड दैट I can be wrong 10 out of 10 times. So,
सर यू कैनॉट बी रॉन्ग. यू आर नॉट रॉन्ग. इट इज ऑलवेज द इमोशन विच प्लेज इन दिस मार्केट. अभी जो लॉकडाउन लगा था 24 मार्च को 2020 को, उस टाइम भी एवरीबडी वाज इन्वेस्टेड and the market shoot up like anything, and they never expected the market will go to such an high. It will make a new 52-week high. Nobody expected.
नहीं, दैट इज ट्रू, दैट इज ट्रू. तो मैं तभी तो आपको बोल रहा हूँ कि मतलब एग्जैक्टली आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू रिप्लाई टू दैट बेसिकली, बट अगेन माय पोजीशन आई हैव सेड. नाउ आई कांट उसके
Okay,
आगे.
okay. No, मेरे को यहाँ पे let me moderate this. The problem here is people don't understand. Look, एकदम इसको सही से समझना please. Market doesn't care about Ukraine or Russian war. The problem here is of liquidity. यूक्रेन में या रशिया में कुछ भी होता है या कहीं पे कुछ भी होता है, then you have, let's say, Russian market is now going down. So understand there is a liquidity problem that's going to happen there. मार्केट को सिर्फ एक ही चीज से प्रॉब्लम है कि लिक्विडिटी इश्यूज होगा. सो हर जगह से सौदा कटेगा, एक बार के लिए मार्केट नीचे जाएगा. दैट इज व्हाट हैपेंस. नो वन केयर्स अबाउट रशिया यूक्रेन पे अटैक कर रहा है और यूक्रेन रशिया पे अटैक कर रहा है और या कोई मर रहा है. मतलब दीज आर ऑल जस्ट बुलशिट एंड टाइम पास. व्हाट एक्चुअली मैटर्स इज लिक्विडिटी.
Ashutosh,
किसी ने हाँ हाँ.
I want to add one thing here is, see, when we are discussing things on spaces, I think we should be pretty open to understand that what somebody's views are. And because as I said very clearly that I am bearish, but maybe 10 people here or 100 people here can be bullish. So that's perfectly okay. I think gulping in the entire
Exactly.
perception of somebody else is what is most important. Otherwise, there's no use of the spaces. So
Exactly.
I
And
think pretty
market.
fine.
So markets are there because people have different opinion. Otherwise, there won't be any
That's
market.
true.
So
Yeah,
please
I was
accept
about to talk
accept
about that. Yeah,
yeah, everyone's views.
true.
Yeah. So Vipin is back. Vipin, you want to speak?
I can speak now.
Yeah, you can now.
सर देखो, मार्केट ना आपके इमोशन के साथ खेलती है. इट इज वेरी वेरी सिंपल. टेक्निकल चार्ट्स प्ले ओनली 20%. योर इमोशंस प्ले
सर
80%.
सर अभी उधर नहीं जाते सर, अभी टॉपिक टॉपिक पे रहते हैं, अभी मतलब डिविएट नहीं करते इधर उधर.
What do you want to know from me? Tell me.
I guess we got your opinion, sir. Now let's move forward to ahead to someone else.
Yes, yes,
So
please do.
Ashish, you are there. Yeah, Ashish, you want to
Yeah.
speak? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just so friends, I think this is Ashish's first piece. We are lucky to have him for the first time here. So Ashish is a regular guest analyst on CNBC Awaz news channel every day, morning and afternoon closing session. Maybe Ashish, you can talk with the precise timing and your views also on the markets.
Thanks, Komal, and thanks everyone. And it's indeed my first spaces, so pretty excited to be here. And as I was hearing everyone, other guests also, market to me it looks very interesting because it's in a range bound situation, and it is playing the news, and I mean how we are placed. I can discuss that. So we are still long, but at the same time we are short also. So since we are managing some money, outside money also, and our own prop desk, so we have long short positions on the market. And what I'm realizing is it's the best time to move. That's my personal view. Obviously, people can have a difference of opinion, but it's the best time to move into large caps. The volatility is still comparatively less वहाँ पर, और जहाँ भी हमारे पास अगर कोई स्मॉल कैप या मिड कैप पोर्टफोलियो में भी है, वी आर ट्राइंग टू एग्जिट इट. अगर प्रॉफिट में है तो बहुत अग्रेसिवली, अगर वी आर ब्रेक इवन तो भी हम ट्राई कर रहे हैं कि एग्जिट कर ले. अगर मैं आज एक एग्जांपल देना चाहूँ टू ड्राइव माय पॉइंट, एक लार्ज कैप है रियलिटी सेक्टर से, गॉडरेज प्रॉपर्टीज. सो इट इज स्टिल आज सारे प्रॉपर्टी स्टॉक्स या रियलिटी स्टॉक्स वर बीटन डाउन बाय 15 to 5% के रेंज में, मतलब स्मॉल कैप्स एंड मिड कैप्स में. बट गॉडरेज प्रॉपर्टीज वाज ऑलमोस्ट अप 1.5%. वही हम देख रहे हैं बाकी सेक्टर्स में भी, जहाँ पे लार्ज कैप्स आर काइंड ऑफ आउट परफॉर्मिंग, एंड अंडर मिड कैप्स एंड स्मॉल कैप, इनफैक्ट इंडेक्स itself was down 3%. And they are the most volatile, more they'll be the forefront अगर किसी को sell off करना है कोई चीज़ों में. तो so we are just churning our portfolio, moving back to value buying, क्योंकि काफ़ी IT stocks, काफ़ी counters है which are compared to the third quarter results and numbers, they are very well placed. अगर मैं वापस गॉडरेज प्रॉपर्टीज की बात करूं तो शायद यही स्टॉक 2,500 पे सबको बहुत अच्छा लग रहा था. आज 1,600 1,650 के रेंज में पीपल आर जस्ट शाइंग अवे, एंड प्रॉब्ली जैसे ही वो 2,000 के ऊपर ब्रेकआउट होगा, अगेन पीपल विल जंप ऑन टू द बस. So we are just churning our portfolio, and we are finding this market to be more interesting to trade and analyze, because एक strict range में market है. It is getting easier to trade because वो range को play करना ज़्यादा easy हो रहा है. And as Vipin was saying, कि I totally agree with him कि आप थोड़ा longer time horizon पे analyze करो, don't get into like smaller time frames.
So
And अगर आप
Ashish,
smaller
in
time
which
frame में
sector?
गलत हो तो immediately
Ashish,
move
in
out
which
of your
sector you are
position.
looking at value? In which sector you think we have some value and you are looking to position yourself?
Rather than sector, we are almost seeing every sector as a value buying, but उसमें particular stocks जैसे we are moving into autos also. So we have position in autos which are long and short both. We have position in IT which is long and short both. So every sector we have probably might have a long and short, but yeah, we are going long on the leaders and short on the any जहाँ जहाँ भी हमको froth दिख रहा है उस sector में, mid cap and small cap में, we are going short on the
You
F&O
spoke
counters.
about you spoke about cash stocks and stuff. So are you looking at some investment, like you talked about investments and stuff? So are you looking at some investments? Have you done some investments, or like how does your portfolio look, or how are you looking forward?
We are still, I'll say my portfolio allocation, अगर मैं बात करूँ तो still 40-45% is long on the IT side. And specifically IT, काफी IT counters जो 200 डेमा के भी नीचे चले गए. Stock like Wipro, for example. Beautiful story. 11 acquisitions by Delporte, जो नया CEO आया है. Very aggressive stand, जो हमने आज तक Wipro जैसी कंपनी के साथ सुना नहीं था कि they are going so aggressive on buyouts. They are doing both organic and inorganic growth. Quarter 3 numbers were absolutely amazing. Abhi theek hai, street expectation were high and they still able to get that street expectation right. So this is the best time. We are just moving more aggressively in on those stocks. Stocks like LTI, amazing numbers, very
So
beautifully placed.
just to be clear, you are adding stocks like LTI, right? Right. Am I reading that right?
Yes. We are going long on IT stocks on our longer term portfolio.
IT in the sense mid cap IT or large cap IT?
Both.
Oh,
Both.
cool. So you
तो
are
हमारा
buying cap large cap
already
IT.
portfolio allocation 40% IT में है and we are increasing it to almost close to 50%.
Okay, so you are massively bullish on IT, right? Like 50%
Yes.
allocation to a single sector. So
Yeah.
what are you looking at? Like what are the triggers here? Like what are we missing? Like what are you seeing and we are not seeing right now?
See, what I'm seeing is the quarter 3 numbers. In fact, all the so far YTD numbers, year till date numbers, तीनों quarters के numbers अच्छे थे. हमने 85,000, almost 90,000 करोड़ का sell off देख लिया market में by FIs. Still IT is holding its ground. हमने PayPal, Netflix ऐसे stocks को 1/3 होता हुआ देख लिया. मतलब Nasdaq पे large IT companies, still Indian ITs are performing good.
Absolutely not
And
large. Yeah, every IT company, everything on Nasdaq is down at least 50%.
Not exactly. There's still some companies which are into services. They're still holding the gains. Stock
Can
like
you just
Accenture
give
is
me?
not that massively down. But
Okay,
yeah,
I'm talking
product
about
company.
mid cap maybe. So not
Yeah.
exactly the Google or Apple kind of stocks, but all the
हाँ,
mid caps are at least down 50%, and even large caps like Facebook is down 50%.
हाँ, जहाँ भी ज़्यादा overhyped था, those counters are overly down. And Nasdaq पे भी अगर आप देखो, जो brick and mortar IT है, जो पुराने IT stocks है, they're still holding. AdTech revenue, Google का were very up, good. Google went up, shooted up almost 8% after the revenue guidance it gave quarter numbers के बाद. So
But then it fell, right? But then it's continuously falling. Like if you see after that revenue guidance, except for 4 days, we are down every day. Like it's 3, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Out of 12 days, 8 are red and 2 are green, and we are down
agree,
like 10% from then, right?
agree. So
The
we
gap
are
is also filled,
kind
and
of
we are looking at swing lows now.
agree. So we are kind of accumulating IT right now on our portfolio size.
Okay, cool, got it. So, what are your views on persistent?
Uh, Overly bullish because the AI play is doing good on persistent. Uh, the overall Web3 and they are aggressively moving on those forefront new tech domains. Same with the Buildersoft. So these mid cap ITs and even the large cap ITs all are looking very good. Iteration was the one number which was very concerning, but I think it will cool off in a couple of quarters. And I come from Pune, so and specifically very close to the IT whole city, I'll say. So I kind of talk and meet a lot of people who are directly involved in IT, and they are holding probably some key management personnel positions in IT. And by seeing the month-on-month numbers, by their SEZ filing and their ITK, जो filings है month-on-month STPI
Right,
के,
right.
they are looking very positive. There's
So, can you
always
share?
a constant uptick.
Are you hearing any new chatter, like any new technology, or what's trending right now? Anything new? Like
Uh,
you talk about metaverse, I guess, ad tech, and anything new that's coming on.
Nothing as such specific because anything new, whichever is coming, is still going to be a very smaller portion of their top line and bottom line. But yeah, the overall posture is looking good of those IT stocks, and it's a best time to probably accumulate IT for your long-term portfolio. It may go up or down 3-4% tomorrow or this week, But the long-term story of IT is still intact. We think there's no dent to it.
Right.
आशीष भाई, रशियन मार्केट 15% डाउन है, तो क्या लगता है आपको इंडियन बाजार पे इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा?
सर वोलाटिलिटी तो बहुत ज़्यादा हाई रहेगी फॉर श्योर। एंड कल एक बार मार्केट ज़रूर नी जर्क रिएक्शन ज़रूर देने वाला है, जैसे आज सुबह भी दिया था। बट होपफुली अभी कैसा है कि आज यूएस बंद है, सो इट बिकम्स मोर ऑफ अ कंसर्न कि अभी एक्सजीएक्स में कोई रिएक्शन नहीं आया उस हिसाब से जिस हिसाब से रशिया का रिएक्शन था। तो अभी कल
Right.
एक बार तो
Just for audience who are listening us, वहाँ पे President's Day, Presidential Day or something, and the markets are closed today. So,
थैंक
uh,
यू या
yeah, thanks. So, I can see Abhishek, Sunil Kadia sir, then Krit Mandal, and a few more people. So I've invited all of them. Please, guys, come ahead and share what are you looking at and how do you
Yes.
see the Russia issue get unfold.
One more thing, I think one follow up to the topic, Kashish. Like right now, you spoke about Indian markets and indices which you are tracking, but can you also talk about the macro level globally जो हो रहा है फेड पे या रशिया मार्केट पे, मतलब इसका the medium term to long term impact, what do you see?
आई मीन Komal, I'll not be able to comment. I mean, on specific like on the macro because it's what exactly. I mean, I couldn't get the question actually. Probably right.
So people are talking a lot about the Fed interest rate impact, which is going to, going to impact the equity market, commodity market across the globe. So what do you see after the Fed hikes its interest rates? Where do you see markets
I
going? Is it going? Yeah.
I don't think the Fed in themselves know what to do at this point of situation. I mean, 7.5% inflation where the interest rate is almost at zero, and the way commodity prices are shooting up. And if you'll see or hear the Fed commentary itself, they themselves are changing stance on every commentary, from hawkish to dovish, and that's what concerning the market also. I mean, market is more concerned on that the Fed commentary itself is not very crystal. Market is okay with rate hike or no rate hike. I mean, but market needs clarity. Market hates indecisiveness or indecision. So market is just pricing in that indecision. अगर कोई clarity आ जाता है कि we'll be doing this rate hike with this timeline, market will be okay. I think because they'll adjust their positions, prices will get adjusted accordingly. But yeah, indecisiveness is obviously very concerning, and this is adding to the volatility of the market.
Fair point.
Right. Yeah, thanks,
So, so
Ashish.
we so we have Sushil Kodia ji also joining. Sir, your views in short.
So what are you looking at? Like the Russian markets are down 15%. So,
My views on what?
sir, two things. First, on Russian markets, like on Russian markets particularly, and then on the Indian markets. Like, how do you see? Will it impact us, like on a knee-jerk reaction kind of thing, and maybe on a longer term?
Point number one, war is never bearish. into the
Absolutely.
war into the war जो घटना है अभी घट लेगा. एक्चुअल वॉर हो गया तो भयंकर तेजी होगी, और वॉर नहीं हुआ तो तेजी होगी. जब तक ये अनसर्टेनिटी क्लियर नहीं हो रही है, तब तक जरूरत से ज्यादा सोचने वाले समझदार लोगों को मार्केट सताता है. बट सोचना समझना तो सबकी विवशता है, सबको इंटेलेक्ट मिला है, एवरीबडी इज इंटेलिजेंट. सो वी आर ऑल स्लेव्स ऑफ आवर लिमिटेड इंटेलेक्ट, ऑल ऑफ अस. कोई कम है, कोई ज्यादा है, पर
सर 1 मिनट रोकूंगा आपको. आप बोल रहे हो कि वॉर होएगा तो तेजी होगी, वॉर नहीं होएगा, लेकिन स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप इंडेक्स तो 200 माह के नीचे हैं, तो तेजी कहाँ से हो रही है?
सर आपने पहले से अपना बायस बना लिया, आप मुझे सुनना ही नहीं चाहते हो, तो मैं आपको कैसे कुछ कह सकता हूँ? बोलने तो दो.
ओके, कंटिन्यू कीजिए सर.
मैंने तो मेरी एक बात भी अभी तक कंप्लीट नहीं की. बातें तो बहुत सारी है, पर आपको अगर ठूसना ही है मेरे मुंह में आपका व्यू, तो ठीक है, आई एक्सेप्ट इट. आप मत करो
नहीं
तेजी.
नहीं
सर
सुशील सर, आप कंटिन्यू करिए प्लीज. आप अपना व्यू
ओके.
पहले फॉरवर्ड
सो
करिए.
सो 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 दैट्स द ब्रॉडर आइडिया. दैट्स द हिस्ट्री ऑफ एवरी वॉर. If the war becomes more sustained, then the scarcities that this war will create unusual teji in those scarcities. But if it will not create scarcities, because इतने सारे लोग जो इंटेलिजेंट लोगों का माल कट जाता है, and risk becomes under-owned, and as minds get used to the war, a brief war, तो एज इट इज 5 7 10 दिन के बाद तो भयंकर तेजी चालू हो जाती है कि जिन लोगों का भी कट गया वो वापस कूदेंगे। और जो प्रोलॉन्ग्ड वॉर हो गया तो माइंड्स बिकम एडजस्टेड टू इट कि भैया दिस इज अ वे ऑफ लाइफ, ये चलेगा। दैट इज रिगार्डिंग वॉर। रिगार्डिंग द 50% डाउन इन रशिया, if I am watching the intraday charts right now of Russia, it's already started rebounding big time. From the low of 1155, it rebounded back to 1244. तो कल के बंद भाव से 15% 13% नीचे दिखता है, नीचे के भाव से ऑलरेडी 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 10% नीचे के बॉटम से आज रिबाउंड हो गया। सो इट्स एक्सट्रीमली वॉलेटाइल एंड डीपली ओवरसोल्ड। So if I was trading this contract, I would not look at all what is the news flow. मैं कंटिन्यूअसली टीवी पे नजर रखूं कि और अगला नया बॉम्ब कहाँ गिरा है, वो बाकी लोग कर रहे हैं वो काम। मेरा काम सिर्फ प्राइस पैटर्न्स को देखना और कंट्रोल्ड रिस्क के साथ मूव करना है। सो एक्सट्रीमली ओवरसोल्ड मार्केट हैज ऑलरेडी बिगन द इंट्राडे रिबाउंड। सो फॉर द डे दिस क्वेश्चन 15% डाउन है is actually a question that is relevant for the day. I expect this to close much higher than what it is right now. Medium term, will we come back and break this low again? I think that cannot be ruled out. But अगर रशिया के मार्केट में आज ट्यूमल्ट मचा है, so don't mix the idea that US is closed. ठीक है, US is closed, but Globex is still working. That contract is not frozen. If I can just check, that contract is not frozen. The volume may be lower, but people do have an opportunity to trade in and out. So even if it is a thinly traded market, if this was something to be reacted to, across all markets, the reactions would have come. So let's not overstretch our intellect. I'm not at all undermining intellect. So that's regarding the war. Now, regarding the spread of markets internally within India, of course, there is a much deeper damage going on in the deeper market, and index is kind of appearing to be a little propped up. इसको मिला के देना भैया. So it's propped up. So there are different markets for different people here. So from my perspective, I'll keep it brief for now. From say the top 500 stocks in terms of volume or liquidity or granularity of price patterns that we scanned, we found few trades only, much fewer trades than we found in usual weeks. But शॉर्ट करने के लिए क्लियर कट हाई कन्विक्शन के साथ 4 5 आइटम मिले, और लॉन्ग करने के लिए अभी भी 12 15 आइटम है। सो देर आर फ्यू शॉर्ट्स, बट अगेन विद अ लिमिटेड डाउन साइड। सो फॉर ईच हिज ओन। और ये तेजी मंदी एक अलग अलग वर्ड है। इंडेक्स की बात करें तो इंडेक्स एक बार लगता है 17 800 आएगा, फिर देखते हैं क्या होता है। दैट्स इट।
Thanks, Sushil ji, for your views. We got Amit Gulecha, Anant Acharya also here. So, Amit sir, Anant sir, if you would like to, speak on this.
आनंद भी है।
हाँ, आनंद भाई भी, उनको मिस कर दिया, सॉरी। या आनंद भाई, so what are you looking at, like?
आज तो लिंडे चला उसका।
I I think so मेरा नेटवर्क थोड़ा इशू है, वॉइस आपका ही ब्रेक सुनाई दे रहा है, सो आई विल जस्ट
चल
आस्क विद इन 2
ठीक
minutes.
ठीक है, ठीक ठीक है। आनंद सर आए। आनंद सर, योर व्यूज। अमित सर को भी भेजा है। सर, अमित सर। अरे
सुरेश
गुरुजी
जी,
कहाँ हैं? हाँ, जिगर जी
हेलो।
जी आइए, बोलिए 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 साहब।
मैं सुशील जी से एलआईसी के आईपीओ के बारे में व्यू जानना चाहता हूँ। टाइमिंग वगैरह सही है क्या इसकी?
जब देखेंगे जो जो परिणाम क्या आता है तब देखेंगे। इसके अंदर में टाइमिंग अब पहले से कोई प्रेडिक्ट करके बैठे। अब अभी गवर्नमेंट की नाक भी है, ऑलरेडी यहाँ पे स्केड्यूल्ड था, और इतना वातावरण अब अचानक लास्ट 1.5 महीने में ऐसा बन गया, तो वो लोग नहीं पोस्टपोन करना चाह रहे हैं। अब इसके भी पीछे क्या खेल है, इशू को इतना पॉपुलर नहीं कराना है, कुछ लोगों को माल कॉर्नर करना है, बहुत सारे गेम्स है। तो आई डोंट वांट टू गेट जजमेंटल, this question can be answered by judging, and I want to avoid being judgmental. Maybe, I'm not fit to answer this question.
सर पर ये पोस्टपोन्ड हो सकता है क्या, यानी अप्रैल या मई में?
काय के लिए पोस्टपोन्ड होगा?
आईपीओ तो आ गया, अब तो डीएचआरपी फाइल हो गया, वो कंप्लीट ही होगा. एंड व्हाट्स द पॉइंट ऑफ इन पोस्टपोनिंग? उनका आईपीओ सब्सक्राइब होना ही, आई गेस.
10%
बहुत
माल
बड़ा
रिटर्न.
है.
नहीं एलआई मतलब बाकी म्यूचुअल फंड्स, इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड ऑल, उनको तो सब्सक्राइब करना ही पड़ेगा. इट्स लाइक कि गवर्नमेंट को निराश नहीं कर सकते. आई थिंक. So Anand sir, would you like to speak? You are a speaker. Okay, Kulesha साहब मैसेज कर रहे हैं. Yeah. Okay, I'm adding a few people. Harsh Agrawal is there.
अरे प्रतीक भाई आए ना, प्रतीक भाई, किरीट सर, उनको लो ना यार.
सबको इनवाइट भेजा है.
क्या उनका कनेक्शन का इश्यू है, क्या इश्यू है?
पता नहीं, मैं चेक करता हूँ उनसे प्राइवेट में.
हर्ष है. हर्ष, योर व्यूज, व्हाट्स योर टेक दैट रशियन मार्केट इज डाउन अबाउट 15%? हाँ, सो चलो आनंद सर आए. हाँ, अमित सर आए
हेलो.
देयर?
Yes, Amit
कनेक्ट
sir
कनेक्ट
is
कर दिया
kindly
है.
हाँ,
accepting.
चलो किरीट सर आए.
हेलो.
किरीट सर, योर व्यूज प्लीज. यस यस यस, वी कैन हियर यू.
या
Sir, Russian market is down about 15%. What do you see impact on the tomorrow on the Indian markets?
I'm Kirit Manralia. Are you asking me this question or are you asking somebody else?
Yes, sir. Kirit sir, आपको ही, आपको ही.
देखो भैया, Russian markets are down. This news, there are some basic facts I think we need to get in place. Why is it that we always look at other things to get a confirmatory bias view? इस समय 15% डाउन है, इट कैन रिकवर. मार्केट का काम क्या है? मार्केट्स आर बाउंड टू बी वोलेटाइल. कभी ऊपर होना है, कभी नीचे होना है उससे. Why do we need a reason? If you actually look at Nifty for the past 5 odd trading days, it's been stuck in a range of about 400 point. Now you have to decide what is your personality and what kind of trades are you looking at. If you are a scalper who's looking for 30, 50 points, then luck will play a very vital role. कि अगर if you are right in entering the market and if अगर आप मान के sell कर रहे हो तो उस चीज में है. बट आई थिंक इफ यू आर अ पोजिशनल ट्रेडर, इफ यू गिव इट वॉलेटिलिटी बढ़ रही है, यू नीड टू गिव स्टॉक्स रूम. आई थिंक द मेजर प्रॉब्लम इज वी ऑल वांट टू बी राइट, एंड दिस बिजनेस इज जस्ट नॉट अबाउट बीइंग राइट एज जॉर्ज सोरोस सेज. बिकॉज बीइंग राइट कुड आल्सो बी आप 17,100 में लिया है, आपने 17,110 में बेच दिया. दैट इज आल्सो बीइंग राइट. I know a couple of traders who would have bought at 17.1, could have luckily sold at 17.250, 17.3. So it is the amount of money that you make is more important. And as RJ says, you can never ever get rich at the cost of somebody else's knowledge. अभी पिछले 6 महीने से everybody is an expert on tapering. Everybody is an expert on China's Evergrande problem. But आप अपनी personality देखिए. I mean, people have come and given their view. That is their personality. They don't mind even if a stock correct 15-20%. उसकी एक अपनी understanding है. Now, if I try to copy somebody, I'm going to end up with the worst of both the worlds. So let Russian markets do what Russia wants to do. Nifty is clearly, I mean, jari hai niche upar, so many views. Level, what is this level? Every second person I see calls himself a TA expert. These Ravi bhai, these are purely my views,
Kirit
okay?
sir, you.
And this is like, yeah, go on.
नहीं सर, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. वी नो कि आप किस तरह से ट्रेड करते हैं, कि हाउ यू आर पोजीशन राइट नाउ इन सच रेंज बाउंड, बीइंग मोर इनटू द इक्विटी एंड कैश.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough time for cash, but see, we are positional traders. We give it slightly more room. I don't understand fundamental. I only follow price action. I have developed certain mathematical models which work some of the time. No system in the world is going to work all the time. I think the second biggest fallacy about systems is, I know I'm slightly digressing, but this point needs to be said. Market is a random game. Okay, nobody now it has infinite number of permutation combination. If Ravi by makes a system, and if the market goes through that particular flow, it's only then when the system is going to perform. बट अगर इनफाइनाइट नंबर ऑफ परमिटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन है, आपने जो बनाया है स्ट्रेटजी, इफ इट इज कंट्रीब्यूटिंग X% ऑफ द एंटायर यूनिवर्स, तो उतने ही समय चलने वाला है. प्रॉब्लम इज यू आस्क पीपल, माय रिस्क इज 1, रिवॉर्ड इज 2. अरे वाह, डज द मार्केट ओव यू मनी? द मार्केट डजंट ओव यू मनी. द मार्केट इज डूइंग अ फेवर ऑन यू बाय ऑफरिंग यू फ्री मनी. आप उसको रिस्क पूछिए, उसको रिस्क का पता ही नहीं है. अब बाजार का काम है ऊपर नीचे करना. अब मान लो अगर गलती, अब ये मैं सोच रहा हूँ, ओके, बिफोर आई एंटर एवरी ट्रेड, आई प्रिज्यूम एवरी ट्रेड कैन गो रॉन्ग. आई नो, ओके, व्हाट इज माय अंकल पॉइंट और व्हाट इज माय पेन पॉइंट. अब मान लो 3 बार बाजार था 17,350, 17,400, 17,40, 440 के ऊपर गया, नीचे रुकने. अब कल ऑल ऑफ एवरीबडी इज एक्सपेक्टिंग, चलो ये बन गया है, अब इस यहाँ से बेचना है. व्हाट इफ इट कल वहां से आगे निकल जाता है तो? Does anybody have a plan? Not really. And coming to TA, the point where I digress slightly, every second person calls them a technical expert. I will tell you, TA, as per my experience, is basically waste of time. आप चीजें हाइंडसाइट में देखते हो, आप उससे कहीं से ट्रेंड लाइन खींचते हो, आप फलाना
I'll
ढिकना
agree on that.
Pardon?
Yes. Yeah. I'll agree with you on that.
I'm purely
People
sharing
needs
my
to
view,
understand this.
Ashutosh. I may jolly well be wrong.
Uh-huh.
अभी I've been a losing trader for over 5 years. ऐसी कोई गलती नहीं जो मैंने नहीं की होगी. अभी भी होती है, but the error level goes down. सब लेवल की बात करते हैं. Now, if I ask a question, अगर 17,400 के ऊपर बंद होता है, then what happens to your level? Do you have a plan?
कुछ नहीं, आप एग्जिट कर दो, लॉस बुक कर लो.
तो जब आपने पहले से ही मन में बना ली है, भाई ये है, ये वो है. Please get one thing very clear. Market doesn't know who you are and what your view is. वो वही करेगा जो उसे करना है. इस गेम में केवल एक ही होली ग्रेल है, and that holy grail is know your risk. अगर आप ये सोच के जाते हो कि मुझे पैसा खोना नहीं है, a sincere advice, then this market is not for you. कोई भी आप वही खाता देखोगे, अकाउंट का देखोगे, डेबिट क्रेडिट होता है तो डेबिट भी होता है. Nobody is perfect.
Yes. He
Rakesh
agree,
Jhunjhunwala has
Kirit bhai.
openly come and said, I made all my wealth, so 33% of my 30 odd percent of my trades have worked. इसीलिए he is very same as the case with Ray Dalio. What is the case with Warren Buffett? Look at any big trader. But यहाँ I'm appalled when people say I have a 70% winning rate system, I have a 80% winning rate system, and I've seen those systems going bust, B-U-S-T, bust. That's it, my point. Ashutosh, thanks for giving me a chance to talk.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Kirit bhai, for sharing and being very, मतलब, so candid actually. So people needs to,
Ashutosh,
accept hard fact. Yeah.
Ashutosh, meanwhile, Russia -15 से -11% डाउन हो गया है. So, Kirit sir, I
अरे
really which way
एक
should
मिनट,
we
अमित सर को पूछ लेते हैं ना यार. अमित सर, यस
एक
सर.
दो
See,
दो
see,
परसेंट ऐसे बोल सकते.
first thing is very simple. Do any of us trade Russian market? No. Do any of us have ever tracked Russian markets? No. तो
नो.
क्या फायदा उस चीज को देख के? जो न्यूज आनी आएगी, होनी होगी, आ जाएगी. वॉर होना होगा, हो
एंटरटेनमेंट
जाएगा.
चाहिए.
और नहीं, अगर जिस दिन
अमित भाई, just one sec. वो एक कहावत है ना, बेगानी शादी में अब्दुल्ला दीवाना.
सर ऐसा आप ऐसा डायरेक्टली
सर
बोलोगे
सर
तो
एक
ऐसा नहीं
मिनट
चलेगा
Sir,
ना.
gasoline prices and lots of things are interconnected. You can't say जो होना होगा हो जाएगा. Russian market has a great instance in world economy.
अभी
ये बात
इकोनॉमी की
how
बात
many
बाद में
times
कर लेंगे पर.
Harsh, how many times you have
Yes,
tracked Russian market before this event?
sir, I'm a global researcher, so on my daily basis,
अच्छा,
I used to do.
okay.
I
Then
do
my
EMEA
mistake.
regions. Sorry.
Okay. I'll add to this Russian market part. 15% का 10% हुआ, and Russian की VIX is trading is currently quoted at 92 levels. Now understand what happens at
भगवान
92 levels. रशियन विक्स देखिए, इट इज ट्रेडिंग एट 92 लेवल्स. अगर वो विक्स 92 है, इसका मतलब पता है क्या है? If any one of you can answer it, if any one of you can answer it, go and check history of Dow Jones. अपना सॉरी सीबीओ की विक्स चेक करना कि 90 पर क्या होता है. इंडियन मार्केट में 2 बार विक्स 90 पे गया, क्या हुआ है वो जाके चेक कर लो.
बट सर हर
हमने
हर
दो
मार्केट
हजार दो दो
volatility.
2020 का देखा ना सर विक्स.
बट यू नो
जो हर मार्केट का अलग विक्स है सर. ठीक है, विक्स अलग रहेगा बट ओवरऑल सेंटिमेंट तो एक रहेंगे ना यार. अमित सर सही बोल रहे हैं ना.
डॉक्टर साहब सिंपल है. जिस दिन सबसे पहली गोली चले ना, जिस दिन सबसे पहले गोली चली, वो मार्केट का बॉटम पकड़ के चलना और वहां पे जाके खरीद लेना जितना जोर हो. एज सिंपल एज दैट.
आनंद सर मत ले रहे. आनंद सर अब आप कंटिन्यू करिए. आप क्या
यार इतने लोग बैठे हैं, इतने लोग बोल रहे हैं ये वो. यार कभी आप लोग ने लाइफ में मॉस्को स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का नंबर भी क्या होता है, इंडेक्स क्या होता है, कभी देखा है? आज
कल
क्यों
देख
तुम
लेंगे ना. अरे कैसा है ना सर. सर हमको खाना नहीं जा रहा था बस.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली दैट इज द पॉइंट. यार
सर
मेरे को एक
एक्चुअली
बात
एक
बताओ.
टॉपिक चाहिए था ना आपसे गप करने का. सो वी गॉट दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी टू टॉक टू यू नाउ.
सर आप
न्यूज
ऐसे तो आते हैं. आप किरीट भाई अमित सर ऐसे तो आएंगे नहीं. कुछ तो भी ऐसा रहेगा तो आप लोग आएंगे. फिर हमको तो ज्ञान का चाहिए ना आप लोगों से.
यूएस वाज फाइटिंग अफगानिस्तान, यूएस इराक हुआ, इतने सारे वॉर्स हुए, क्या फर्क पड़ा? इंडिया को भी क्या
सर
फर्क पड़ा?
सर वही तो जानना चाहता है सर दैट इज द पॉइंट दैट वी वांट टू नो कि इन स्पाइट ऑफ हैविंग लॉट्स ऑफ वॉर्स, कारगिल, यूएस, इराक, तो आपने उस समय बाजार देखा तो आपके एक्सपीरियंस क्या थे? अभी अब जैसे अमित सर ने बोला जिस दिन पहली गोली चली उस दिन खरीद लेना, है ना.
अंडरलाइन कर लो एक पॉइंट. वॉर इज बुलिश फॉर मार्केट्स, वॉर इज नॉट बेरिश. रूमर ऑफ वॉर इज बेरिश. अब जब तक ये अनसर्टेनिटी चलता रहेगा, आपका वॉलेटिलिटी और अप डाउन चलता रहेगा. जिस दिन वॉर हुआ, चालू हुआ, उस दिन से खत्म. क्यों? बिकॉज सो मेनी मिसाइल, सो मेनी थिंग्स आर गोइंग टू बी यूज. उसका खर्चा लगता है, वो पैसा वापस मार्केट में पंप होता है. बहुत सिंपल लॉजिक है इसका. क्यों इतना परेशान हो रहे हैं सब? क्या
Anand
फर्क
sir, if I
पड़ता
can
है?
add to it. Anand sir, can I add to it?
यस ऐड प्लीज.
सी सिंपल चीज समझो. वॉर इज अ मैन मेड इवेंट. ठीक है. तो somebody have positioned himself in so many vast markets. सबसे इजी पैसा जो बनेगा ना, बॉन्ड्स में बनेगा. ठीक है. तो किसी ने अपने को खुद को पैसा पोजीशन करके रखा है कि भाई वॉर होगा, ये पैनिक रिएक्शन आएगा और मेरा पैसा यहाँ से बनेगा. पागल नहीं है लोग के वॉर कर रहे हैं. कोई टेररिस्ट अटैक होता है ना, तो उसके पहले वो पोजीशन खुद को ऐसे करके रखते हैं क्योंकि इट इज अ मैन मेड इवेंट. अगर डाउ जोन्स थ्योरी फॉलो करते हो तो एनी मैन मेड इवेंट, द इंफॉर्मेशन विच इज नोन टू मैनकाइंड इज डिस्काउंटेड इन द प्राइस. मतलब वो प्राइस आपको अगले दिन रिएक्शन दिखा देगा उसका, क्योंकि कोई ना कोई उसका फायदा उठाएगा. जो भी न्यूज इंफॉर्मेशन है उसका कोई ना कोई फायदा उठा के जाएगा. दैट इज फॉर श्योर.
और दूसरा, this area which we are talking about, Donetsk, Luhansk, Dnipropetrovsk, and all, which is eastern Ukraine, you guys have not been there. I have been there personally, so I know it very well. That has been under Russia's control for since the war started way back in 2014. तब से चल रहा है. There are pro-Russian people there, which is going on. वहां पे झगड़ा होता है, वहां पे बम चलता है, वहां पे एक्सप्लोजन चलता ही रहता है रोज. It is, if you ask, talk to any Ukrainian, they don't want to go to the eastern part because why? There are too many pro-Russian people there.
Sir,
Now
yes,
that
sir, you're saying right. Russian separatists are there.
सर
they have
Anand
been
sir,
there. They
Anand
have
sir,
been there for 1 year. Haji,
Anand, Ukraine is very rich in natural resources also. I have read somewhere.
सर वही
Ukraine
तो
is
रीजन है वॉर
no,
का.
you
जस्ट
no. You that part which is Donetsk, Luhansk, and Dnipropetrovsk. These are the three major areas. These three areas are the place where there is no resources. Most of the resources are in the northwest of Ukraine. Russia ka in their Russian constitution there is one clause which says wherever Russian speaking public population resides, if they are being threatened or if there is anything happening wrong with them, Russia has the power or Russia has taken the decision to help them out. So that excuse is being used. This is not Ukraine Russia problem. This is basically NATO Russia problem, and it is not going to
Finally,
go.
someone said it. Finally, someone said it. Sir, can you elaborate more on this NATO part because many don't understand. उनको अभी भी लग रहा है यूएस का और मतलब ये यूक्रेन का और पता
सर
नहीं क्या
आई
कहाँ
आई
कहाँ
वुड
लोग
लाइक टू ऐड समथिंग मोर अबाउट दिस आफ्टर दैट आनंद सर यू विल गेट यू सर जैसा आपने बताया ना सर क्रीमिया जो रीजन है ना कि यूक्रेन के नीचे साइड में
हर्ष भाई पहले आनंद सर को सुन लेना यार।
श्योर
हाँ, आनंद सर जी।
Crimea, Sevastopol, Simferopol, all these are, Crimea is basically an island. Sevastopol, Simferopol is basically two large ports which are there. Russia wanted those, and they were always part of Russia from ages. जब Soviet Russia था, Crimea was given to under Ukraine because Ukraine was also a part of Russia at that time. Now, when Gorbachev divided the country, he just divided it. It was done in a big hurry. So what happened was Crimea, because it was under Ukraine's control or it was being controlled via Ukraine, it was given by mistake to Ukraine. When Putin came back to power, he realized that ये इतना बड़ा port है, यहाँ पे base बन सकता है किसी का भी, so he occupied it and he annexed it into Russia in 2014. पिछले 8 साल से the people living in Crimea in Sevastopol, they have all been given Russian passports and they're Russian citizens. It is no longer a part of Ukraine at all. Okay, now coming to the eastern part of Ukraine, there are Russian people there, and the problem here, like everyone is talking, is not between Russia and Ukraine. You ask any Ukrainian, he does not even care if Donetsk goes to Russia or not, because there are hardly any Ukrainians living there. Okay, now what happens is Ukraine. Next to Ukraine, you have all the European countries on the western side. Now, if Ukraine joins into the European Union and NATO, what happens is NATO will have the NATO countries will have the ability to put a military base within Ukraine. ओके नाउ आप किसी को अपने घर के सामने आके पूरा अपना तोप बंदूक लगा के आपके घर के ऊपर तान के बैठने दोगे? नहीं दोगे. So what Putin is saying right now is Ukraine will not become part of NATO at all. They will please stick to the
Absolutely. मैं एक
original
यहीं पे और ऐड
agreement.
करूंगा आंसर
Now,
यूक्रेन
hang on. Who's this? Hang
आशु
on.
सर
Now, please understand, Russia के बीच में there is Romania on the western side. Between Romania and Russia, you have Belarus. Belarus is pro-Russia. Okay. Now, because of the Belarus being in between, Russia doesn't feel so threatened. But Romania में US का military base है. उसका डर यही है कि यूक्रेन को नेटो ने अलाउ किया तो यूक्रेन में लाके मिलिट्री बेस लगा देगा, मेरे चारों तरफ मिलिट्री बेसेस हो जाएंगे. Which is the only thing he is talking about. वो कुछ नहीं होगा. Now, Ukraine itself wants this war to happen. The political people in the Ukraine, because if NATO backs out now, for the next 50-100 years, Ukraine can never become part of NATO, and it will always have to be under the umbrella of Russia. So you see, there is a complex game going on here, which cannot be resolved so easily. Is that clear?
Right answer. I think Harsh, you also wanted to add something to it.
आनंद सर already covered that thing NATO thing it was fabulous
All right. Right. Amit sir, do you want to add something to that?
सर अमित सर कल ट्रेड कैसे कर रहे हैं यार, ये सब बातें ठीक है.
कल सुबह उठ के बेच दो, आज का हाई का स्टॉप लॉस.
हाँ, ये प्रॉपर सट्टा हो गया, एकदम मस्त।
नहीं नहीं, आज पिछले 4 दिन से मार्केट अगर आप ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हो, इट गोज टू दी हाई ऑफ द अर्लियर बार एंड रिट्रेसेस डाउन, हाई ऑफ द अर्लियर बार एंड रिट्रेसेस डाउन. Now many people are looking at this like it is a what you call bullish. What I saw on Twitter just a few minutes back, bullish bar. What is it? Bullish high candle or something was there. इसको समझ में नहीं आया, वो bullish high candle सब जगह ढूंढता रहता है. Anyway, but the point here is DAX has broken down a shelf of support which was there, and it has made three bottoms on that point from May 2021. It has broken down and it is trading below that, and it is testing it from the bottom side. Now, God forbid if this just holds for today, you will have a serious issue coming in the next few days. This is the technical part of it. Now, what is the invalidation point? The invalidation point would be going above the 17,500 point. But to be much safer and to be more conservative, you can keep today's high as the stop loss and you can go short. The trade now is to be on the short side. If it goes above 17,500, then stop it and reverse your trade. No, where is the problem?
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, just one thing. There's a very famous quote: the obvious in the market will obviously not work. What is known to everybody will seldom work in the market. Keep that thing in mind and then plan your trade.
Agree?
I think we have Pulkit also here. Hi, Pulkit.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Pulkit. Please
एक second.
share your views, the subject line, and the market tomorrow.
15% डाउन है पुलकित भाई, कल क्या करना है वो बोलो बस।
भाई देखो, टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक, मैं तो हूँ पोजिशनल ट्रेडर। मैं वेट कर रहा हूँ 16,800 के नीचे निफ्टी क्लोज हो, मैं मारूं शॉर्ट। फिर ना निफ्टी रेजिस्टेंस क्रॉस कर रही है, ना सपोर्ट ब्रेक कर रही है। और हो क्या रहा है अब, रशिया 10% डाउन है, लेकिन एसजीएक्स थोड़ी सी संभली हुई है। अब
एसजीएक्स तो
क्वेश्चन ये
बेवफा है, सबको
अब
पता है।
क्वेश्चन ये है कि रशिया का डिस्कशन करें या एसजीएक्स को देखें।
नहीं, पहले
दोनों
पहले रशिया फिर एसजीएक्स, दोनों मत देखो, सिर्फ निफ्टी देखो।
सुबह देखते हैं निफ्टी कहाँ पे जाती है फिर।
पुलकित, ओनली स्टिक टू दैट थिंग कि रशिया डाउन है, इम्पैक्ट होता है नहीं होता है, क्योंकि हम एसजीएक्स ट्रेड नहीं कर सकते, हम लोग रशियन मार्केट ट्रेड कर नहीं सकते। सिर्फ देख के खुश हो सकते हैं कि भाई ये यहाँ से यहाँ रिकवरी हो गया, उसका विक्स ये हो गया, ये हो गया, फलाना ढिगड़ा पूछ रहा। इनसे निफ्टी को कुछ ले, निफ्टी को जो करना है सुबह 9:15 को जो करना है वो करेगी।
इम्पैक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए, 16,800 के नीचे क्लोज होगी निफ्टी तो इम्पैक्ट आएगा। अब वो चाहे वो रशिया का इम्पैक्ट है, चाहे वो किसी और का इम्पैक्ट है, 16,800 जब तक उसके नीचे क्लोजिंग नहीं मिलती है और उसका लो नहीं टूटता है, तब तक इफेक्ट नहीं आएगा निफ्टी पर। सिंपल।
भाई इधर दो चीज होने होने हैं। ये पूरा जितने भी ट्रेडर, ब्रोकर, ट्विटर ट्विटर पर्सनालिटीज जितने भी है, सब 16,800 16,800 16,800 लेके बैठे हैं। दो चीज होने वाला है, इधर 16,800 नहीं टूटेगा, या जिस दिन टूटेगा ऐसा टूटेगा आपको 16,800 के पास बेचने को चांस नहीं मिलेगा।
आंसर 16,500 अगर वीकली की क्लोजिंग मिल गई ना उसके नीचे, 16,500 के नीचे, तब तो यहाँ पे मैं फिर ब्लड बाथ देखने को मिलेगा, जो मेरे लेवल्स आ रहे हैं।
एग्जैक्टली पुलकित, मेरा कहना ये है 16,500 16,700 16,800 जो भी लेवल्स पकड़ के बैठे हैं सब लोग बैठे हैं। 16,500 800 अगर टूटता है, 16,500 टूटता है तो मैं बेचूंगा, मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लेवल मिलेगा। मार्क माय वर्ड।
मार्च में जाएंगे नीचे, मार्च में तो जाना ही नहीं है। जब फेड से इंटरेस्ट रेट हाइक होगा और नीचे जा ही रहे, 16,500 टूट ही रहा है।
मार्क माय वर्ड्स, जिस दिन 16,800 16,500 अगर टूटना है ना मार्केट को, वो सीधा आपको 15,000 दिखाएगा, आपको चांस नहीं मिलेगा उधर
आंसर आई एम विद यू, सेम लेवल्स, डायरेक्ट 15,000, 16,500
सीधा।
नीचे।
15,200।
हाँ, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड दिस इज हाउ market is setting you up for something different right now. What it is setting up, I cannot tell you, but it is setting up something which you are not expecting at all.
So Anand sir, cannot it be a bullish signal also? कि
Exactly
किसी को
what
नहीं किसी को नहीं पता पड़े और तेजी मार के 19,000 चला जाए बाजार, 20,000 चला जाए।
भाई मैं वही बोल
इम्पॉसिबल
रहा हूँ,
इम्पॉसिबल।
मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, impossible is a dictionary in the fool, said Napoleon, and it does not apply to the markets. मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, अगर आप सब लोग 16,000 14,000 15,000 देख रहे हो ना, ये मार्केट सीधा 20,000 तक चला जाएगा। What it is going to do, but 20,000 जाने के लिए 500 तो लगाने दो।
सर आज क्या मारा आपने? आप सीधा 20,000 की बात कर दी, आज आपने क्या मारा? सस्ता नशा
मैं
किया क्या कोई?
अच्छा
सर
आज
वॉल्यूम भी तो होना चाहिए मार्केट में, बॉन्ड मार्केट में वॉल्यूम भी आना चाहिए ना सर। यूएस मार्केट में वॉल्यूम्स होगी और इनफ्लोज आउटफ्लोज होंगे, तब यहाँ पे हम एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे ना सर
भाई
लॉन्ग टर्म में।
ये लॉजिक अगर चलता हो ना, हर गधा पैसा बनाता था। ये लॉजिक नहीं चलता है। यहाँ आया तो मैं वो करूंगा, वहां हुआ तो ये करूंगा। कहाँ थे अक्टूबर 21 को, जब भी मार्केट निफ्टी टॉप लगा रहा था, तभी पता था? कहाँ थे जनवरी
एब्सोल्युटली।
सर आप
2020?
20,000 बोल रहे हो, 20,000 इज वेरी हाई मार्क सर। यहाँ एसएनपी भी जाना चाहिए सर
21,000 भी
4700
नहीं, नहीं कोई जरूरत नहीं
just a
S&P
second.
जाने
Hi,
की।
hi. एक second. Let me moderate this, guys. So I got a call. Sorry about that. Let's all come back to our topic now. So today we are discussing about Russian markets are down 15%. We are just trying to understand, will there be any liquidity impact? Like China a few months back had their biggest debt default, kind of their largest real estate company went bankrupt. So are we looking at something like that? Maybe this may not impact us directly. We are talking about on a liquidity perspective. And what's the move forward? So the market breadth is deteriorating every day. So are we looking at a broader correction, or like is it all good? So we got new speaker as SK. Amit sir has raised his hands. So Amit sir, we'll just start from you and then we'll move ahead to SK. Yeah.
See, if market this ADR is declining, na, it is good. Froth is getting out. Froth is getting out. जब आप बियर पीते हो ना और सीधा ग्लास में डाल देते हो, तो बियर के ना फ्रॉथ बहुत बड़ी बन जाती है। तो फ्रॉथ मार्केट से निकल रहा है। आई वाज स्टडिंग सम डेटा, तो उस डेटा से लगता है कि जो फ्रॉथ था वो फ्रॉथ निकल रहा है। गो एंड स्टडी डेटा फॉर पास्ट फ्यू इयर्स बिफोर कमिंग टू अ कंक्लूजन कि एफआईआई ने आज बेचा, एफआईआई 2 महीने से बेच रहा है, एफआईआई 4 महीने से बेच रहा है। बट एफआईआई ने खरीदा कौन से लेवल पे? वो प्रॉफिट बुक करने का उसका हक नहीं बनता क्या? उसने अगर सेकेंडरी मार्केट से पैसा निकाला और जो एनएससी पे डेटा प्रोविजन, ठीक है, वो भी प्रोविजनल डेटा आता है। आप एनएसडी की साइट पे जाके चेक करो, वो खुद लिंक लिख के देते हैं कि एक्चुअल फिगर्स तब आएंगे। आप वो जाके डेटा चेक करो और देखो कि हुआ क्या है। तो ऐसा कुछ भी बहुत बड़ा नहीं हुआ है कि अगर मार्केट को गिरना होता ना तो मार्केट आज भी 15,000 खड़ा हो जाता। मार्केट नहीं गिर रहा है, इवन आफ्टर नोइंग दैट देयर माइट बी 7 रेट इंटरेस्ट हाइक्स इन यूएस, 7 रेट हाइक्स। अभी 4 की और 3 की तो बात करना मतलब उल्लू का पट्टा बात कर सकता है उस चीज के लिए। तो सो मार्केट इज ट्राइंग टू डिस्काउंट ऑल दीज बैड न्यूज एंड मार्केट इज नॉट क्रैशिंग डाउन। क्रैश करना अलग चीज होता है और एक नॉर्मल करेक्शन इन अ बुल मार्केट इज अ वेरी नॉर्मल थिंग। 2003 से 2008 के मार्केट में से 10-15-20% के करेक्शन आए थे, मार्केट स्टिल वेंट ऑन टू हिट न्यू हाइज। सो ये फ्रॉड निकल रहा है। जो नए बच्चे लोग आए हैं जिन्होंने ऐसे मार्केट्स नहीं देखे कि भाई 10%, अरे तुम लोग 300 पॉइंट पकड़ते हो दिन का, 500 पॉइंट पकड़ रहे हो दिन का, बट एट इंडेक्स लेवल ऑफ 17,000 यू आर थिंकिंग एंड दैट इज अ नॉर्मल 2-3% काइंड ऑफ अ मूव ड्यू टू वोलेटिलिटी, ड्यू टू दिस जियोपॉलिटिकल इशू। वो अगर हटा दो, जियोपॉलिटिकल इशू निकल गया, से नथिंग हैपेंस इन दिस वर्ल्ड, कुछ नहीं हुआ, तब क्या?
Again, this is not about the war, Amit sir. This is not about the war. War hoga nahi hoga, it doesn't matter. It's
आशु
more
नॉर
about
आशु नॉर यू नो इट कि वॉर होगा नहीं होगा, नॉर आई नो इट। ये हम में से किसी
वही
को
वही
नहीं
मैं बोल
पता।
रहा हूँ।
तो जिस दिन
Right.
मैं तो मेरा एक ही स्टेटमेंट है, जिस दिन पहली गोली चले ना उस दिन जाके अपना पैसा बाजार में लगा देना और पेशेंस से 6 महीने के लिए बैठना। वो पैसा अच्छा रिटर्न देके जाएगा। कितना देगा ये मुझे भी नहीं पता, मैं भी उस दिन का वेट कर रहा हूँ। वो गोली नहीं चला तो मूवी नहीं थी, हंगामा
सर
वाली
गोली
मूवी।
गोली by the
6 महीने से चल
महीने
रही है
भर से
सर।
चल
अगर
रही
आप
है।
डेटा देखोगे ना,
हाँ,
10,000 से ऊपर लोग मर चुके हैं इस क्राइसिस में। मतलब इसको
अब
वॉर नहीं बोला
10
जाएगा, इसको टेंशन बोला जाएगा।
ये
दस
जून
टेंशन
से
तो
चल
हजार
रही है सर
नहीं,
गोली।
ये टेंशन तो
वो
है ना।
एक कहानी। हेलो अमित, 1 minute, 1 minute, I think the gentleman
ये
is
कौन
right
बोल
ना।
रहा है 10
there
से
is a
ऊपर लोग
very
मर गए
there is a
टेंशन?
there is a very famous saying, Anand bhai, the eye sees what it wants to see. Now I think
एग्जैक्ट
the gentleman Harsh is trying to associate every pessimistic view. Okay, can he answer why did the market go to 18,350 and 18,600, which has recently happened in the 6 months? Harsh, can you hear me?
क्या कह रहे थे?
Yeah. When market, let me tell you, when we were at 18,350 level,
हम्म,
US markets were nearly hovering around the 200-day DMA level. That was during Diwali, just before Diwali.
हम्म,
Okay. So if we try to correct some reason or the other, okay. So it is basically I'm trying to see what the eye wants to see. Eventually, I think all the good speakers have admitted at the end of the day, nobody knows whether it is Warren Buffett, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Paul Tudor Jones, or Ed Chicote कि बाजार कहाँ जाने वाला है? You think Putin knows where will the market go? I
नो
have a
सर,
question for you.
नो
So
नो।
nobody knows. Okay, let's accept the fact. But there is a very valid point which I also fully agree with these guys. जिस दिन ये जंग छिड़ेगी, उस दिन बाजार घूमेगा. Abhi, if your objective is to trade 100 points on the very high side, then I understand your concern. Okay. But I mean, eventually the big money is always made on the long pull. If we are stuck in a range of 300-400 points, moving nowhere, so then why are we looking for reasons? Do we have a plan? I mean, it makes more sense if you have a plan. I mean, Pulkit is a good friend. He just said 16,500. He's a good trader. He has his plan. Anand is a very experienced trader. He has his reasoning, right, Anand? Why will the market go?
Uh, I really don't know what to tell the gentleman. But here,
So let's
here
let's
I would disagree a
leave it
little.
there now, I guess.
Kirit bhai, I would disagree a little with you
Sure, go
because
Okay.
ahead, sir.
this my disagreement here is because I look so much at public sentiment and what the sentiments are taking along with the past history. इस
हाँ,
बार सब बोल रहा है जब जब वॉर चालू होगा मार्केट ऊपर जाएगा.
हाँ.
Amit and you are not the ones. Almost every technical analyst worth his name are saying, not the Twitter ones, worth his name. So I would not be surprised if the market will surprise all of them this time. So I am
Well, that's the
open
objective
to
of
both.
market. Well,
I am
I
open
fully
to both.
agree with you, Anand bhai.
Correct.
I fully agree with you. What is the market's job? Is to fool maximum number of people most of the time,
Correct. Correct.
right? And that's what it ends up doing. And at times when we are lucky, so fine, if you're lucky enough, it works your way. तो होने के लिए तो कुछ भी होना है. But the big question is, what is the plan? Now, I heard somebody saying, stay away from the market. Here I have a question. I would appreciate if anybody can answer it. अगर बाजार टर्न होगा ड्यू टू व्हाटसोएवर रीजन, आई डोंट नो द रीजन, आई एम नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन नोइंग द रीजन. ओके, वो आपको आके घर पे आके बताने वाला है दैट आई वांट टू टर्न, और विल इट जस्ट टर्न? इट्स ऑब्वियसली गोइंग टू टर्न. देन व्हाट हैपेंस? Again have a spaces, and why did the market turn? If only reasoning could make one rich,
सर
then who would
रीजन
lose in
सर,
this game?
किरिट सर,
Folks, just a second. We also have Safir here, so let's hear him out first. Safir, if you want to go ahead, please.
See, hi, good evening to everybody.
Yeah, good evening.
While I've had the reputation of being a perennial bull for as long as people have known me. In the last four Twitter chats that I have participated in, which started with Prashant Nair of CNBC and then some of the others, I said that I do not share the confidence that we are continuing to. I mean, the market will continue to go up, which is not to say that I turn bearish, because there's a difference between uncertainty and being bearish. But there are, according to me, multiple factors that are disturbing the market. I'm not necessarily in the belief that just because the market has fallen lesser than the rest of the world, we are in a stronger position. See, retail has been participating in the market because it saw 2 years of good returns. There is no history right now that suggests that retail continues to pump in money when the market turns around, and that's a beast that I have not dealt with. So to decipher my mind on how the entire world will react, that is, the world of Indian investors will react if the market returns stop or they start deteriorating, is anybody's guess. In light of this fact, in light of the problems of liquidation, the liquidity crunch that America is trying to impose, particularly the Fed comments, in light of the FI pressure, etc., it may be possible that Nifty is an illusion. I actually dissected Nifty in my last talk and said that I do not expect the Nifty to move either high or low. And I gave a reason why I do not expect the Nifty to fall. But the carnage that has happened across mid caps and small caps, you see, these falls of 10 to 15% are not routine falls. You're calling them routine just because of the fact that you made money in the last 2 years, but there are sizable falls. And when I did a poll on Twitter, which I normally don't do, a substantial number of people, about 40% people, said that their portfolios had fallen more than 20%. So it's an see, I'm not changing my portfolio. I'm not running away from the market. I'm not raising cash. But at the same time, if you ask me that if I make a list of stocks to buy, will I get it right? I'm not too sure right now. So the only sector that is, according to me, showing strength is banking continuously. And it is a complete misnomer. People are putting it. I saw some tweets. People are saying that, Bank Nifty is underperformed for 2 years. No, Bank Nifty has outperformed because you are looking at only two banks, that is HDFC and Kotak. You're not looking at PSU. You're not looking at SBI. You're not looking at ICICI. It's a good market to invest. I don't, because over a long term period everything will be forgotten. It will be a long term period. We'll all make money. That's the history of the market, that it goes up in long run. But how much is going to be tested at this level is anybody's guess.
Yeah, thanks, Safir, for your views. Completely agree with what you said, and we have been, talking about this continuously, about the breadth and the way stocks are falling. Most of the popular names which had a lot of, retail participation and chatter on Twitter are down significantly, and most are, at like breaking their swing lows and like that. So it's a situation of panic, I guess, for at least new investors who haven't seen this kind of fall, and also the market breadth that is advanced decline and stuff, that is very concerning. So I share your concerns and what you're looking at. Thanks for
आप ना
sharing that.
डेटा देखो, because for example I only go on facts. As a legal mind, my mind was always to look at facts. अब डेटा देखो, जो बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग पीएमएस थे वो 10% गिरे हैं. They are down
Yes.
10 to 12% in just between January and now. Now, see, the fund manager may be super. The fund manager may have an ideology that everything is good for the long run. XYZ sector will outperform. But ask me, which fund manager will put his hand and say, I'm not going to face redemptions? He doesn't know right now. And one is an element of redemptions, which is an uncertain thing. I am also saying I don't know. The second is that if he does not get fresh money, then also he stagnates because the market needs fresh money. So I asked about six or seven PMS guys, are you getting new funds? Well, they're silent.
Right, and they won't even admit if they are facing redemptions.
No, well, even if they're not facing redemption, the point is, see, it's like this. Suppose I find the market attractive. Suppose I find market is useless. Actually, let me assume I find some stocks attractive. That is where your horizon should be. The question is, should I bring the money? In typical markets, see, there is a confidence index in the market. That's a self-created index. That confidence index gives you the ability to think rationally, because you end up being a winner, and the winner creates a false illusion in your mind that you're getting it right. So for whatever reason, it's like Rhonda Bryan's book on manifestations. Right now, your best performing stocks, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about across. So when I come on Twitter and I have a discussion with people and they say, but the market has not fallen, I say, please tell me. Right, just a few minutes back, a guy told me my portfolio is not down. So I asked him, what stocks do you own? He's listed his stocks. 30% he's down. He doesn't even know he's down. So to say that he's a long term investor and he's not seen the price, but he has 30% उड़ गया is a big fall.
Right, and he is completely oblivious. Like he isn't even recognizing the problem that's there.
Well, Safed, just to
Somebody
add
has
a
just
line,
tweeted. Sorry,
just to
just
add a
last.
line,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry to interrupt you. Just to add a line, Twitter is one place, where nobody loses money. So you can't blame the poor guy. They are always
तो
up,
झूठ बोलते
whatever
हैं
the
ना
market.
लोग, फिर झूठ तो नहीं बोलना चाहिए.
Precisely. Precisely.
Ab, sir, see, I have put up a tweet right now that I
Uh,
made 9 out of 11 correct predictions. So people are saying statistically that is very good. I said no, the two that went wrong. The first is one of them is that mid caps and small caps will outperform. My assessment was that they will outperform. मैंने उनको बोला that going wrong itself means that वो बाकी क्या करेंगे, बाकी तो सिर्फ individual stocks हैं. To get 8 or 9 stocks right and to get an entire ideology of the market wrong means that you've not. I personally don't think that I've done well in terms of that prediction. And why I don't want to lie about it, because if I fool myself, if I keep fooling myself to say that I'm doing better than somebody else and I'm doing XYZ, the reality is that I will become so complacent in my thinking that I will not get it right. I'm saying admittedly I do not know where the market is going. See the market,
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
nobody
It's a
knows.
known
Nobody
fact.
knows.
No, it's a known. You tell me something. The stocks which have outperformed in the past few years, the day you bought those stocks, you had a view. Okay, you had a possible thought that probably it may go there. Did you at the time of buying know that it will go X multiple? Nobody knows, right? Do we know? Some stocks
No,
have gone 8x and 10x. Did we know that? We never knew. It was all a question of how well you held on to those stocks.
yeah, correct. So therefore, I'm saying that if somebody, I agree with you. I'm saying therefore, if the market is now confusing, take it
Hmm.
as a state of confusion. Let it be a time correction. Live
No,
with the
that
time
is
correction.
well. I have to live. See, at the end of the day, markets trend about 33-35% of the time. 60% of the time, they are trendless. And we couple it with various reasons. But here again, you may have some stock which may outperform. Never know.
Correct.
It's
Absolutely
right.
right. Absolutely right.
So,
See, one thing
so
that
the
all your
huh,
listeners should know, and it is not, I'm not saying it, it is a fact that when you remain invested in 365 days of the market, it is only 27 days of the market that give you all the returns. Do you
yep,
know which 27 days, and you can remove Saturday, Sunday, and holidays, whatever, which 27 days, when are they coming? Nobody knows.
nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Can I say something out here?
Yeah, SK. Before that, thanks, Safir, for being so candid. You shared some great insights, and you put them beautifully. Thanks. Yeah, SK.
Uh, Safir sir, if you can join frequently, we will send you the request. Or
Yes.
if you can share your WhatsApp number to me or Ashu, we can send you request. We need uh, some kind of a knowledge that you carry that we can understand. क्योंकि
See,
आपसे तो बात करना मतलब जी सर.
it is my pleasure to be part of the community simply because I'm myself part of you. It's not that I'm different from you. We are all a community, and my gains are also dependent upon your market gains. If the market doesn't do well, I don't do well. If the market does bad and I'm invested, it's all the thing. The problem is that there are certain times when we have high conviction. For example, if you read my tweets in April of 2020, my conviction was the highest when almost every friend of mine was liquidating their portfolio. But today, I'm saying that I do not know as a matter of certainty, and all I have to do as a disciplined person, it's not as if my portfolio is not going down, it's also going down with the market. All I have to do as a disciplined person is to say that I have to wait for those 28 days, which will come somewhere or the other. Within that, if I have any surplus money from any source, then I have to add to the stocks that I believe in. Even whatever amount I add will give me gains. If I find that there are certain stocks which are going wrong for whatever reason, then I have to deliberate upon the stocks and use the same currency to buy another currency. Like, I'll give you an example. I own some small caps also. Now, some of those small caps have not fallen in accordance with the market, but not all of those small caps have seen a fundamental change. Like, some of them are long term stories which may or may not materialize. Today, when the currency in my hand as that small cap becomes relatively stronger vis-a-vis all much more fundamentally better stocks, then what I can do is to start switching some of that currency in order to sort of cement my portfolio more towards the long run. and you cannot have regrets in the market. Because if I see, I have more regrets than anybody, because I just don't like to see my portfolio down. It's a fact whether it goes down. If I come and tell you I'm down 10% and everybody says we are down 20%, it's not a consolation for me. I'm still down 10%. I don't become smarter by losing money. So what I tell myself is that, be calm, be look at keep being on the lookout, be disciplined, keep doing whatever you understand, because the market will never when the market turns, it's not that it's going to tell you which sectors are going to lead. It's, you may have an indication, and I think banking is leading, but I can be wrong.
Right, right. So that's the best part about you, Safir. You do share your entry and exits, and you do tell us that what are you doing at the moment. So that's great. Like the work you are doing, that's something.
Yeah, but look at my foolishness. I come on Twitter, I discover a company called Creative Peripherals, and just for everybody's benefit, I'm
Yes,
not a
yes,
SEBI
yes.
registered. I'm just sharing it for knowledge. I come and discover a company at 80 rupees. The company stock goes to 140 rupees. It does a warrant. It does a allotment at 110 rupees. Everybody on Twitter turns negative, thinking the promoter doesn't value the company. They dump the stock. I call up the promoter and ask them that what is this resolution that you're passing? What is the reason that you needed money? And they explain their rationale, etc. Fair, I remain invested. I reward myself. The stock does well. It goes up. But did I get these 6 times returns? No. Because if I was to know with so much of conviction that the company will become 6 times up in less than 6 months, then tell me, why did I even need to own another stock? The point is that I don't know. The point is that in some point of time, it's like Zurich Axioms, the book. Certain point of time, you have to pull out because you are happy with the profits that you made. Sometimes you are right about it, sometimes you're not. What matters in investing is substantially getting everything right. If even after that my portfolio was not to fall in this market, then I'm done very well. And I'll find, but if you find one script that goes up 5 times or 6 times, you have the capability of finding the next. So move on.
Right,
Absolutely. And
absolutely.
just to
Money is finite.
add one more
Yeah.
line. Hello.
Yes, 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 Kirit sir.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Safed, just to add one more line to what you just said, as Daniel Kahneman says, to succeed you need tons and tons of luck, which plays a very vital role. I'm sure you'll agree on this point.
No, I totally agree. In fact, some of the people on Twitter are asking me that if the market is following, we have lost 20%, 25%. Right now, somebody said 30%. What are you doing? I said, I'm praying. I'm praying that there's no Russia attack on Ukraine. I'm praying that the US Fed decides to change its mind. What else can I do? I'm invested. I'm not hiding the fact that I'm fully invested. I know the fact that when I'm invested, there is pain that happens in things. I know that this. I don't believe in the fact if the pain happens, it doesn't matter over long term period. The pain matters because at the end of the day, as a human being, the definition of human being is he's supposed to be a rational thinker. Am I being rational when I buy a stock and see it go down? No, I'm not.
Only
But
fraud,
what do
fraud and Excel traders don't feel the pain. If anyone has invested their real money, they are ought to feel the pain. Only
no? So
only
what do I?
frauds won't feel.
No, so what do I do to mitigate the pain? Mitigate the pain, stagger my purchase now in such a market over a period of time. So if I buy something at 900 and comes to 850, then I buy more. It comes to 800, I buy more. If it goes to 950 above my price, also I buy more. If I have the funds, so then I tell myself, yes, this is fine. Over a period of time, it will play out well if the story is good. The India story isn't bad, by the way. There's no problem with the India story. The problem is right now with many circumstances around the story.
Right, right.
Hi.
Yeah, SK, you want to go ahead? Yeah.
I just wanted to veer back. By the way, I think Safir was extremely eloquent and honest. I really appreciate that, Safir. I just wanted to add something on the topic, which is, Russian market is down 15%. What does it really mean? I think it really, I mean, personally, I don't think it really matters. Russia is just totally irrelevant in the global scheme of things. But from a perspective of commodities, Russia, Ukraine is fairly significant when it comes to wheat, barley, and a couple of other things. Plus, if there's some sort of embargo on aluminium, that could be Russia is, I think, accounts for roughly a third of exported aluminium worldwide. So it's maybe lesser than that, maybe 15%, but it's pretty significant because today we are sitting on the lowest level of aluminium inventory in probably 15 years. As far as the currency is concerned, Russia is fairly significant when it comes to steel, processing, and I mean manufacturing steel. And then if you look at Turkey, Turkey is also very significant in terms of steel. So if you look at those two currencies, they have significantly fallen. And in that context, if you listen to most of the speakers across the broader markets, most expect steel stocks to do really well. I also, I mean, I won't say what I feel, but let me put it this way: that it's interesting at this moment of time that steel converter margins in Asia are actually back to what it was in 2015-16. Now, if they sustain here, and I don't know why they should sustain here, but if they do, and I mean, there could be reasons like Russia steel coming out or Turkish steel coming out because their converter margins will be much. I mean, converter costs must be much lower with the depreciation of the currency. But let's say, for instance, converter margins do not recover, then steel stocks become excessively overpriced at this moment of time. As far as the Indian market is concerned, I feel that Indian market is very largely driven by the color of flows. Because let's take an example on the 7th of Feb. That day the market fell down very substantially. That was the same day the late Lata Mangeshkar was buried. Not buried, sorry. They had her last rites. And if you look at the day after that, I mean, when you look at the data from SEBI as well as the markets, what it seems to suggest is that the large insurance company was not operating that day, because if you tally the data from the exchanges with the SEBI data, it seems to suggest that. Similarly, the day when the markets went up 3% and everybody was shocked about it, that day, if you tally the data on domestic institutional investors versus domestic mutual funds, you will notice the domestic mutual funds actually did not buy. So it was largely non-domestic mutual funds who bought. You can guess who it was. And it is pretty much the entire amount. So, which is why I believe that in the Indian markets are, sometimes, many a times, uncorrelated with what happens globally, because it is a fairly shallow market in terms of liquidity. Now, the last point I want to make is about the US. I think there's a lot of focus in general among most discussions about, US rates. I think US rates are irrelevant. The more important parameter should be the size of the balance sheets of central banks. And I just want to draw your attention to a very interesting tweet that was made by the ECB as well. So there was a lady on Twitter who complained that she could not buy a house because it was becoming too expensive, because house prices had gone through the roof. And the ECB picked up on that and actually replied, saying, you know what, we hear you, we feel you, we understand it is really bad right now, and we can't afford this to continue to happen, that people cannot buy their houses. So I think that central banks have suddenly have woken up to a conscience, and the only way they can actually drive this is through an increased level of volatility and a reduction in balance sheet. It's lesser the interest rates, it's more the volatility. And if you increase volatility, I mean, let's take the example of what happens usually in every market. Market corrects, people buy, and it goes up. Market corrects again, buy the dip. We've been hearing buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip for the last 1.5 to 2 years, right? That's simply because there's been more balance sheet created by central banks, and that it's feeding into volatility funds that are, buying more every dip and reducing volatility, and hence increasing leverage. And it's a vicious cycle. It's a self-fulfilling cycle, and the Fed needs to reverse that. And the only way they can do that is by increasing volatility to an extent that nobody can imagine. So this is my view. I think that we haven't really seen the impact of Fed. It's not about the interest rates. It's more about balance sheet. It's more about what they do and how they achieve a higher interest rate scenario, and what kind of bonds that they actually intervene in, and the size of the reduction in their balance sheet. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, SK, for your views, and thanks everyone for joining and listening in. We have more than 1,600 listeners at this time of the hour, so thanks a lot for everyone joining in. Yeah, Safar, you can go ahead with your like you are raising your hand, so please go ahead.
See, what I'm a person who tries to, because of my legal mind, tries to look at the rationality of what is being said. And on one side, we say that the steel industry will do well, but the steel industry, in order to do well, it comes back into a very basic thing, that very classic book, where are the customers yours? If the steel industry has to do well, the end users of steel have to do well, because if there's inflation and the prices of everything does goes on, and they are not able to pass it on, they're not foolish enough to continue in the loss making environment. So which basically means that there has to be an uptake of the entire capex cycle in India. If there is going to be an uptake of the capex cycle in India, then it is not just steel. Then there are many industries that are going to benefit. It's got a entire contagion effect, which basically means then you've got reasons to believe that with the capex kickoff coming, a lot of things in India will do well, not only at the company level but also at the country and the GDP level. On the other hand, if the steel industry doesn't do well, and I don't mean steel only, I'm just giving a proxy, I'm not being so specific, it can be everything. If the steel industry doesn't do well, then the profitability of the users actually goes up. So, in other words, both the bets are on the fact that the capex cycle has to do well, because on one side they save raw material prices, on the second they have to have a buoyancy. That's one side. Secondly, if you read, I think one of the best notes that I read for the in the last few months is the January end note of GMO. The January end note of GMO is a complete focus on mistakes that people should not make in 2022. And they are saying that in one of the things that will, that they believe will not happen in 2022 is that US may not be the instrument of growth. They actually are betting on the fact that most of the growth will come in from China and India. I'm talking about even market returns. Now, I'm not necessarily a believer in the fact that about this liquidity thing that is being said, because if see, look at it, the FIs are pulling out money. It's a matter of fact. India is relatively outperforming the world. Now put the cause and effect together. If India is outperforming the world, where is the sort of the hedge fund money, the quant money, the quick money, which always comes? Because for them, even 1 or 2% relative returns is a huge amount of money. In the entire, whenever you look at the inflows, whenever a certain country outperforms, there is quick money that comes in that country because they want to capitalize. But it's not coming right now. Therefore, it's making the task a little bit more complex. The number of variables that are going into the market are getting more complex than we thought. Now, let's look at UP elections. Some people say the government will win. If the government will win, then why is the market worried? If some people say the government will not win, if the government will not win, will it actually mean that reforms are set off, or will it mean that the government will take more proactive steps in order to enhance whatever has gone wrong? Both sides can be a winning proposition, but the market is still worried about that, because that means that within the market there is a problem. But look at the opportunity. According to me, the opportunity in the market is not going to come in from this. I see a lot of money moving away from private equity. The last 2 years has seen a lot of money coming in private equity. For example, people will come to me and they'll say, I've set up this company. They are asking for exorbitant valuations now. Everybody started benchmarking themselves to a few listings that happened. Those listings have collapsed, but those benchmarkings have not got readjusted. Some of the big ticket investors, such as SoftBank, etc., have seen a lot of erosion in their valuation. SoftBank has another IPO coming of another company. A lot of this erosion should, in my assessment, get corrected and should go to more traditional forms of investment, more transparent forms of investment which are in the market. I also personally believe, at the risk of being wrong and with due apologies if my comment is going to hurt anybody, that I believe a lot of money will start moving away from cryptocurrencies, which is my prediction from the time when the time I wrote that cryptocurrency at 54 or 55,000. I just use Bitcoin as an example, is overvalued. Of course, I get trolled, and I can't help it if I get trolled, because that's all right. That's just a view. I can be wrong also, but I feel that if you today see one of the largest cryptocurrency exchange has said that a cryptocurrency will not give you any returns till 2024. Please Google it after that, so I put it on Twitter after this. It's on cnbc.com also, the international site. So if that money starts stagnating, then what will happen is two standard forms of investing, actually three standard forms of investment, which is equity, traditional, second is housing, and the third is gold, have a relatively good chance of outperformance.
Safar, I got a question, I mean, a follow up on that, if I may.
Of course, yeah, I'm here to help you or answer whatever I'm capable of.
Yeah. So we are seeing a lot of HNIs and these people venturing into private equity and VC and all, and they have invested, as you said, at crazy valuations, and everyone is starting a startup and looking at these valuations, and a lot of folks are just copying each other. Like it's crazy market out there, right? So do you feel that if uh, a fall in startup valuations, or if this private equity markets get some beating and corrects, then we might have a liquidity problem in our secondary markets also, because like they have to cover their losses from somewhere. So let's say you have a startup where you have invested few crores, and that isn't problem, some liquidity crunch, and you feel that if you pump in some more money and keep the company afloat for a year or so or more, then you have a chance of exiting the company. But if you don't put money there right now, then the company will just wind up. So do you feel like there could be a liquidity issue in our secondary markets also due to that?
No, I don't. The culprits are not the startups. The culprits are the guys who are taking the entire milk away from the startups and coming to the IPO markets and leaving nothing.
Right.
If so, what will happen is that, like for example, in the catastrophe that has happened with all these new companies right now, new tech. Now, when I appeared, I think it was ET Now, and it was on the eve of the Paytm IPO, and I said that they will crack. And I wrote on Twitter that that car whatever thing will become with half, and this policy bazaar will become. Now, the question is that it is not that day that it's going to be 50%, whether that 50 happens or 60 happens or 70, but there's something cardinally wrong in the way these companies are being assessed. It's like a guy comes to me, for example, in October, and he says, please put money in my startup. I look at his company, I say, what is the company valued at? He says 10 crores. So I say, okay, I'll put in some amount of money. I take, say, for example, a small 1% stake. After 3 months, the guy says my company is worth 100 crores. I say, what happened? They've got no justification. They just say that we have lasted 3 months. So what kind of justification is this? So India ke andar listed, there are so many listed companies that 25, 30, 40 years old, unki value बढ़ा दो ऐसी.
Safir sir,
This is
Safir sir,
beyond business, no?
Ashu,
Yeah.
Safir sir,
Yeah, well,
Safir sir,
yeah.
a question for so all these startups which are just burning cash. We all know that these companies are burning cash from last decade or so, but still these companies are getting listed at such a high valuation. Still people are going and putting in money. So, matlab, this is a fraud kind of a money, or this is a VC bubble, venture capital bubble.
No, you see, what was happening is that first of all, people were putting money in IPOs because all of a sudden everybody was interested even before putting the money in, knowing what the grey market premium is. The grey market premiums were being shown as 100 rupees up, 200 rupees up, 300 rupees up, 500 rupees up, etc., etc. So they were also thinking that if we apply for it, it's like a lottery ticket, we get allotment with it. I don't even understand, when somebody's in the market and he gets 11 shares, what is the joy of those 11 shares gain compared to his portfolio? They don't concentrate on the portfolio, they concentrate on the 11 shares or 12 or 15 shares that you get in an IPO. Now what is happened is that when these companies got listed, and you saw so many listings that initially happened in a buoyant stage, and it was believed that no, all those who missed were regretting. Now when these companies are correcting, and it's not that all of them are not good companies, but when they're correcting, they're not leaving margin. Now what is going to happen is that the future IPOs will get impacted, until and unless the future IPOs resort to what Mr. Uday Kotak said on TV. He said that when I was handling the IPO of Nykaa, we made sure that we left some money on the table. Now, of course, Nykaa has also corrected from 2,500 to 1,300, but it has not hit people the way some of the other IPOs have hit. When that correction happens, then people will stop showing interest in IPOs. Similarly, if the private equity market corrects, which according to me will correct, and I can tell you this because I work in that field, I know I'm working for a lot of companies that are getting valuation done. They're not going to be able to raise money at that kind of prices that they're demanding. If so, two things will happen: either they will become much more sustainable, in which case they'll do well. Anything good, sustainable, reasonable will do well. Or in the second case, a lot of people of these intermediaries who are basically funding them will start withdrawing their money. Now they have to also make money in the market. They're in the finance business. In order to make money in the market, they will look at the assets class that gives them the highest amount of return, of which India actually can stand to be a beneficiary, because even in the larger scheme of things, India's allocation currently is very, very low. So if India's economy does well, and India's reforms do well, and India does well on some of its government, I think the government is transforming in a very big way. People are not seeing this digital revolution. For me, is bigger than the agricultural revolution in India. It's bigger than the industrial revolution. Look at the power that the digital revolution has. So it's a matter of time that the equity market will outperform. I'm not saying it will happen from tomorrow. When the equity market outperforms, money will always come. Look at any professional person managing money. Relative outperformance is enough for him to raise money. So if you say the country has a relative outperformance, it will raise a lot of money.
Safir sir, so do you feel, say, next decade or so, out of these so many new companies, new IT companies, new technology companies, out of them, say, let's say there are 100 companies, 90 will go bankrupt and only 5 or 10 will survive?
No, I don't think that the IT industry companies will go bankrupt. I think IT industry companies in India, and when you say IT, I mean IT. They will do phenomenally well. India's core
No, sir,
strength
new,
is
new,
all.
new, 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 new. Sir, you didn't get my question. My
No, I
question
got it.
was
I'm answering
all
the
these
second
new
part
kind of
also.
companies which
I,
are just cash burning.
I think the fintech companies in India, a lot of fintech companies in India will go bankrupt. And I had given this talk even on television. The fintech companies benefit banks. People are thinking that the fintech companies are going to destroy banks. They benefit the banks even more. If you bring, suppose you make the roads to my office efficient. That is, you ensure that people can travel to my office faster. Who benefits? The person who sits in the office benefits, because clients can come and go easily, right? What is that? Intermediaries have only brought in efficiencies. They have brought in many efficiencies by becoming enablers. But in bringing efficiencies, you look at them and you say that, do you have an earning model? The earning model is not to batoro every single person in town and put him in a truck. It has to have that you have to charge a fee. Where is the fee going to come from? Where is the capital going to come from? That has to come from the banks. Eventually everything will become more centric around banks. And in this, what people are not realizing is that the Indian banking system has undergone its biggest reform, whether good or bad, by cleaning up all the NPAs. If you say the economy will do well, it needs credit. Where's the credit going to come from? Who's going to lend? So if these catalysts fall in place, which they will for India in the longer term, then India will do well. India has a very good chance of doing well on this front. Also, look at it. If we said PSU banks are not good, why were the PSU banks not good? So you said two things. You said they were not efficient, and their service qualities were bad because whatever staff etc. got bad. And that's replaced by technology. In technology, I am talking to a bot. मुझे क्या करना है? वो बॉट अगर 10 साल का है, 20 साल का, 25 साल का है, वो बहुत एफिशिएंट है, वो रिप्लाई करता है. He captures my information, he gives it to the bank. The banks have got the best IT infrastructure, and they're sitting on ridiculous book values. So if that works, then India, a lot of things in India will work. I think the IT industry in India is poised for many years of growth. Look at the amount of job offers that the IT companies are talking about. Look at Infosys. What the biggest giant? I mean, I don't mean biggest in that sense. TCS is bigger, but look at the amount of recruitment Infosys is talking about. Right now, we haven't even understood what cloud is about. Eventually, today as we're moving into digital, we'll move into cloud in a very substantial way. And that's not just India, even international companies, consultants like Accenture and all will do very well in this process. I'm not trying to say that, but it doesn't matter when Accenture comes out with good results or somebody like that comes out with, Tiva comes out with results, we look at our pharma industry. Accenture comes out with results, we look at our IT industry. So we will also benefit. And some of these guys will also be, see, now the world has become so globalized that many of these guys will want to come to India. Some of them will come in manufacturing. That is why PLI scheme is being done. Some of them will come and set up bases in India. I mean, don't forget the government is talking to Tesla every day. अब ये तो नहीं कि वो बस बातें करते रहेंगे and that will be endless. Eventually something will come out of it. And I'm not saying Tesla is a game changer. There will be thousands of Teslas in different industries. Don't forget that the biggest problem in India was infrastructure, which is being cured at the biggest level. That infrastructure is being cured at the brick and mortar level. It's being handled at the digital level, and it will be handled at the cloud migration level, because Indians are very smart with IT. So it's a matter of time that if the market gets enriched, then we will all benefit from the ecosystem by being investors.
Right. Thanks, Safir, for sharing
Safir sir,
the
we are
India
very
growth
thankful.
story. Yes,
We are very thankful that you have
yes.
joined this space and given us so much of the deep knowledge. हम आपके ट्वीट पढ़ते हैं, आपको टीवी पे भी देखते हैं, बट ऐसा लाइव इंटरेक्शन शायद हमने फर्स्ट बार किया है. आई मिस
Absolutely,
मीटिंग यू इन
first बार
प्रीवियस
है.
कार्निवल. फर्स्ट बार है सर. आप जैसे
सर
लोग, इंटेलेक्चुअल लोग आते हैं ना.
एक मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ. That is again not an investment wise. For example, I'm giving my comments, and some of the other speakers will be able to add on, because every person has got great level of experience based upon what they do. See, the Indian pharma industry right now may not be performing, and we may make jokes about them and say, the stock has fallen XYZ and the sector is down and out, etc. But please try and understand, the Indian pharma industry is going through its largest transformation in its life. We are moving from generics into proprietary. We have still not cracked the whole country, apart from one vaccine that was made by Bharat. From the whole country level, we have not innovated one drug. Now, it's not as if those companies are not going to try. At some level, they're going to try. Dr. Reddy's had reached the closest when it was working on the molecule for diabetes, and for which it had contracted with Novo Nordisk, but it did not work out that point of time. They had to abolish it at a certain point of time. It's a very expenditure-oriented job. When capital is available, which in this case happens to be more of foreign capital, the SoftBank kind or XYZ fund kind, when capital is coming and they start backing, I remember when I used to interact with Mr. Venkat of Suven, and I used to keep sending him messages. That time I used to have a BlackBerry, saying that you're doing so well. I'm so proud of the fact that you're spending money on R&D. He used to tell me, you're the only shareholder who sends me these messages. Suven used to be about $50 that time. I used to say, Baki to sab gari dete hain, ki where is the earning? All the cash is being deployed in R&D. We don't see anything. After that, Suven went up 10 times on Suven, and then he had also divested. So you actually made about 20 times your money. Now people have started understanding this. So a lot of our pharma companies, while they are in transitory mode, over a period of the next few years, are going to move into some level of proprietorship. I'm not necessarily buoyant that they'll make a molecule, but I'm sure they will make some interesting APIs and do some very interesting ANDA filings, abbreviated new drug discovery filing, etc. That time their earnings will relatively improve. In vaccines and biosimilars and so many other areas, now do you have the patience to hold all to the stocks for a long period of time? Like we say PLI scheme, and we talk about Dixon because Dixon has been a market darling, so we say Dixon is very good, and we criticize so many other companies. Do we realize that there will be Dixons in pharma? We are the world's largest pharmacy, let's not forget that. And I don't think that the guys who run a Torrent or an Alchem or some of these companies are not smart enough to know what they're doing. So if you want to be a long-term investor in a true sense, find your opportunity. then bear with the time, because the returns also don't come so easily. Returns only, if you want to make 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the amount of money, is not going to happen overnight, no?
Absolutely, we are all bullish on the India story, and thanks for sharing that with us. We also have Sushil Kedia sir here. So, Sushil sir, if you would like to, add into that.
See, after Safir Anand goes non-stop on 360 degrees, it's such a sucking vacuum in which, one will get sucked in rather than being able to add value. I didn't want him to stop. I wish he continues again. I was keeping on absorbing the vivid information inputs he was sharing with. But, well, he laid out a very vast collage and he put out, the various scenarios and possibilities. So, in the current momentum of this conversation, I really need to re-establish what is the house discussing right now. Ashutosh, the subject
Yes.
line is Russian market down
Sir,
15%. That's a one-day phenomenon.
SK sir, SK sir, if I can
Hmm.
add to it, हाँ, आज डिस्कशन वो रशियन मार्केट से चालू हुआ था. अभी सबको ऐसा लगता है कि रशियन मार्केट का इम्पैक्ट अपने पर आएगा. वॉर होगा तो अपने पे इम्पैक्ट आएगा. दैट वाज आवर टॉपिक. एंड ऋषि बागरी इज ऑल्सो ओवर हियर. सफीर सर तो है ही है. सो सर यू
Hmm.
प्लीज कैरी ऑन.
So that part we discussed at the beginning. This Russian market, this Russian war is a shorter term thing. It's unlikely to conflagrate into a global major chaos. Anytime any nation has gone into aggression, the arm twisting by NATO and the others, and the whole saber rattling, everything happens. But there are side deals, undercuttings, over the top. Everything happens. जो होना है वो पहले से तय है. And there are deep sacrifices and big trade-offs, and actual firings of the bullet is only the finale of the theater. The war has already been fought. The winners and losers have already been decided. Who will be sacrificed, who will broker it, who will barter it. Without that, these complex armed neutralities will not work. So उसके वजह से इस पे इम्पैक्ट आ जाएगा, इस पे आ जाएगा. See, we are all intelligent, so we are all going to be, our intellect is going to be sensitive. But I personally, by common sense, you don't have to have that special analytical abilities, that this world cannot afford a widespread conflagration of everybody bombing everybody. वो नहीं होना है. अगर widespread wars will happen, they will be happening in a far more covert manner. Bio warfare ka maybe we saw a sample, maybe it was bio warfare. But the traditional way of जाने भी दो यारो types, जिसको जो मिला उसी को बॉम्ब मारो, वो सब war, World War One, World War Two हो गया. It's a far more intricate world. Ever since World War Two ended, the World War Three started. And the World War Three is ongoing on supremacy of information supremacy, the rise of intelligence agencies, and the permanent seat of power intelligence agencies acquired in the top 10 nations is a post World War Two phenomenon. It arose from the World War Two, and today the clandestine aspect of all the top 10 governments is far greater perhaps than the visible aspect. So that information warfare and adjustments are ongoing in a in an open space, or even when you talk to strangers, you should not be talking of too many things. But I'll just drop a hint. Why did India spend close to $1 billion each in ensuring the current prime minister of Bangladesh stays there? Bangladesh is a theater where CIA is as interested as raw is. So is raw working against CIA? So we will never come to know in our drawing rooms or in Twitter spaces the clandestine deliberations in the universe of, or the power of, regarding the theater of the power for the universe or power for the earth. तो इतनी ज्यादा एनालिसिस फिर मैं नहीं करना चाहूंगा. बाकी लोगों के पास क्षमता हो सकती है, कैपेबिलिटीज हो सकती है, but these things for my analytical paycheck level are far bigger than my paycheck level. So what I cannot become decisive about, confident about, acquire a conviction about, you know those will be bad speculations for me. So I'll try to indulge in speculations where I can figure out that I'm already going wrong and I can jump out of it. inside a dark alley of too much information and too many conjectures and too many assumptions and too many baffling contrasts. वो analytical theater is more for my intellectual analysis कि whether this war can conflagrate or not. So I'll come back simply to looking at how the various charts are positioned at. Some of you may laugh, to a hammer everything is a nail. But well, if it at least helps me decipher when is the point to, with or without the parachute, jump out of the burning plane. So I'll resort to that. And when I look at the spread of global charts, the key indices right now, I doubt any of those charts are currently structured in a way that this kind of a gap down can happen. And even just tell me something, for the potential war to happen, why Russian market also is justified to drop so much in a day? Is Russia getting attacked or is Russia attacking? Is Russia only facing the saber rattling of other nations? But if Russia alone went down and USA has not gone down just because, or the DAX or the FTSE haven't gone down, I think there is enough liquidity on Globex futures, and some of the largest hedge funds can get in and get out of very vast positions also on Globex when hyperactivity strikes. Globex after hours trading volumes are no inferior to the main market volumes. So I don't want to jump to a conjecture or even make this as a question whether it's going to affect all markets. अगर होना होता वो अभी तक हो जाता. Nobody is going to wait for an invitation to profit from the market. Market अभी तक सब जगह crack हो गया होता. So I'm not feeling worried about this Russian move down or up at this point. Um, See, only once in 2009 when the Congress party formed the government despite winning only 159 seats or whatever, the results had come out on a Sunday. The upper circuit that India faced next day was an unheard of event. That an upper circuit, and the whole world, the global equities complex was that time in a lull. I was just getting on a plane on Sunday when these results started coming out to go and join the largest hedge fund I ever worked for. And already on their behalf, I was shot down to my pants and I was piddling. But the next day, the impact that happened on several other markets, because it was an unheard of an upper circuit in any market, and India had already come within the top 10. So Russia still is within the global hierarchy of markets, very much a smaller emerging market in terms of its equity market valuation and the correlation effect or the cascading effect it can have. And in terms of a political analysis, देखो, लड़ाई में जो हारता है वो मरता है और जो जीतता है वो हारता है. Maybe the real winner is also not Russia and the game is getting played elsewhere. Call me conspiracy theorist, call me somebody with a feeble mind, but I have chosen for myself. I won't advise others कि बाकी लोग analyze मत करो. But to try and decipher what the intelligence agencies are doing and what the heads of states are doing and who's the real bakra is definitely at this point. I do not have enough information. It's beyond my pay grade level. I'm sticking to my charts. And charts को अगर आज crack होना होता तो बाकी world कल President's Day खत्म होने के बाद crack होगा, ऐसा नहीं है. Though at the same hand, the bullishness that I was feeling on Nifty, say even until 3 weeks ago, I'm noticing that I'm increasingly mellowing it down by 200 points, 200 points, and the wider market is not driving conviction for immediate entry. Very selective entries are there. So maybe, this phase of dullness, the range from 16,200 to 18,200 can last for some time. And very emphatically, just because Russia is down right now, I'm not worried this night कि मेरे को सवेरे सवेरे टाइम पे उठ के एकदम रेडी होके मेरे सब स्टॉप लॉसेस की लिस्ट लेके 8:30 बजे ब्रोकर को लिखा देना है, क्योंकि प्री मार्केट फ्यूचर्स के सौदे 8:30 बजे एंट्री होते हैं. I'm not going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to see the market opening and then I'll decide what to do. I'm not getting into a state of anxiousness just because RTSI fell.
We have Rishi Bagri sir also over here. So, Rishi sir, we have
Safir has
given you
raised
the
his
mic
hand.
also.
Maybe Safir has raised
Okay,
his hand. Maybe there's a counterpoint or something he has.
okay,
Maybe in
okay,
sequence.
okay.
Let's hear
Safir
him
sir,
and then go to Rishi.
No, I don't have
Safir
a
sir.
counterpoint. What I want to tell you is that why are you so fixated on looking at Russia today, but not looking at Russia over the last 1 month? First question.
Absolutely great point.
Second point is why are you looking at Russia and ignoring Europe? You think Europe is silly that looking at a 15% fall? European market is open. Europe is, look at FTSE right now. It's flat. They are also not silly that we all the worries of Russia only India has to adopt. Thirdly, Russia's problem is only based upon a speculation that the American dollar supply to Russia may be to Russian companies may be impacted, because they feel that in order to pressurize Russia not to attack Ukraine, they are just threatening them. That's why there are some of the countries like Germany are saying we will not announce the sanctions till the last minute. Why should we prepare them, etc., etc. So they are also doing their level best at their level to whatever to put some pressure on Russia, so that Russia and Ukraine and the NATO and all are able to reach a solution. This is called economic war. Everybody in the world knows. Fifth, why is India so obsessed with the Russian market, which is dominated completely by commodities? What is the commodity weightage in your Nifty and in your market? Let us assume tomorrow everything is up and your commodities fall. So what? Actually, look at it. No, if the commodity prices fall, suppose they actually fall, India benefits. No, India doesn't lose out. So why are we so? Don't get so obsessed just because of 15% up. Russian market was outperforming when we were worrying about them.
Just to reiterate what I said and Safir said so beautifully in this round, ये ओवरनाइट रशिया का मार्केट इतना गिर गया है is a concern only for those who play those stupid strategies and gap up gap down को predict करने का जो लोग गेम खेल रहे हैं उनके लिए है. For even a short term swing trader it's not really relevant, and the way charts are currently, they may have been relevant in other times and definitely not for the investors. So Russia pretty much is a big political power, it's a big military power, but in terms of the beauty parade of market capitalizations, Russia is not in the top 10. And even the 13th, 14th, 15th rank that it will have, it's a smaller market, and the contagion effect, or the correlation trades that will force hedge funds to create any contagion, all of that does not exist. So that's at best the educated, erudite, scholarly looking terminologies, verbiology I could have used. But मोटी बात, अक्कल बड़ी की भैंस, मेरे लिए वही चार्ट बड़ी है. सारे चार्ट्स शांत है. रशिया में कोई हो गया, तांडव हो गया, ठीक है, इट्स अ फ्रीक इवेंट, प्योरली अ टेक्निकली फ्रीक इवेंट.
और एक और बात है कि आज हम ट्यूसडे खत्म हो चुका है. आई डू नॉट डू टेक्निकल्स, आई हैव नो कॉम्पिटेंस इन टेक्निकल्स, बट आई हैव सम कॉमन सेंस टू टेल यू दैट वी हैव एन एक्सपायरी कमिंग अप इन 2 days. The FIAs in expiry book make positions based upon calls and puts, and they underwrite calls and puts in a very extensive way. So what happens is that when this expiry comes, depending upon their position and call input, they react in the market. If they want to cover up the market, they will cover up the market. Nothing will stop the market from moving up. There'll be no rationality. Now I'll demonstrate it to you. If you see that on the weekend there was so much of discussion on Twitter about the fact that today is going to be a bloodbath. We opened minus 500 points on BSC, which is not technically called a bloodbath, but for whatever reason it was a negative trade. From minus 500, did you have a justification to become plus 200? Because when you became plus 200, again the same news came that Russia is going to meet the America. No, Russia is not meeting America. No, they're meeting America. They're not meeting America. I mean, your market also was totally confused. That means the market was also wanting to go up, but was being stopped just by this uncertainty. Now, I'll tell you something that our minus whatever point the market did wasn't a big fall anyways. All the mid caps fell and the small caps fell. Our market was actually discounting the US closure today. बिकॉज आर मार्केट जब भी यूएस बंद होता है हमारी मार्केट पहले ही घबरा जाती है. वो उसको पता नहीं होता कि डाउ विल मूव हाउ मच, सो वी डिसाइड टू डिस्काउंट इट इन एडवांस. If for example the market tomorrow remains, if Japan and Kospi and all open normal, I mean even slightly, our market was the first to react. That's why if you see in the morning I tweeted when India had opened minus 500 points, and I don't do day trades and I don't do this thing, I wrote that while India is overreacting to the world's problem, it will catch up, and then the market was plus. The real problem right now is not to is that the market is wants to, at least the market is showing a desire to go up, but it is being pulled back by a lot of invisible things that at least I'm not able to understand. But maybe on the next few days we will be able to crack this.
But just now I saw a tweet on Redbox that Putin is going to address the nation, भाइयों बहनों मित्रों, in some time.
Yeah, at 11:30 in 15 minutes.
सर,
अगर
एसके सर
बोलेगा
एंड
अगर
सफीर सर,
बोलेगा फायर
वो है ना
अगर
सिर्फ
बोलेगा
बातें चल.
फायर
सर
अगर वो
मार्केट
आके
खरीद
बोल
लेने
देगा
का
फायर, तो बाजार उधर बॉटम,
कल फर्स्ट
क्योंकि
जो लो
इसके
लगेगा
लिए
मैं खरीद लूंगा
nobody
मार्केट.
nobody should take an offense. It's a old primitive adage from the locality around my village in Rajasthan. पूरे राजस्थान में है ये कोटेशन adage कि विधवा से बड़ी कोई गाली नहीं, चूड़ियां फूट गई उसके बाद नया सुहाग सजेगा. So the worst that can come is war, and when it has come, those who could have felt the worst have already felt it. The catharsis of weak holdings is already done. और देखो इतने स्ट्रेस के अंदर जो इंटेलिजेंट, जो पॉपुलर, जो डिस्कस्ड आइडिया है, बेचो, खरीदो मत. पर सौदा हो रहा है, मतलब कोई तो खरीद रहा है. तो खरीद कौन रहा है? या तो पहलवान या मस्तान, या तो दीवाना खरीद रहा है या पहलवान खरीद रहा है. तो फिर दीवानगी में ही बड़ा पैसा बनेगा और पहलवान के साथ रह के ही बनेगा. वी ऑल in utmost humility, all I've learned in these 30 years of being in markets is one must learn and constantly practice to protect oneself from one's limited intelligence, and one must discover triggers of decision making to overcome the limitations of one's intellect. आदमी कितना भी intelligent हो जाएगा, it's never going to be enough. We got to rise past, we got to overcome the side effects of being only intelligent, and technical analysis is one of those ways. So tension लेने का नहीं है, address to the nation होने दीजिए. अगर बोल देगा फायर, तो जो भी नीचे कल गैप डाउन खुल जाएगा वो फाइनल है. कल बाल्टी भर के माल लेने का. और अगर वो फायर नहीं बोलेगा तो साला फिर तब ये मार्केट वॉबल 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 200 300 400 पॉइंट और खोटा हो सकता है. दैट्स ऑल.
Right, right.
Ashutosh, if you allow, I'll add something here.
Yeah, sure, sure, Preeti, go ahead. Yeah.
When like whenever I have heard Sushil sir, one thing that I'm a huge fan of him talking about is uh, like वो एक चीज हमेशा बोलते हैं अपने स्पेसेस में कि हर कोई बेच रहा है तो खरीद कौन रहा है. तो आई थिंक इफ द if the buying is going on and koi buy kar raha hai, and if Sushil sir is talking about it, if we can have a small discussion on this as well, that where is this going and where is this coming in from. So अगर सुशील सर इस बारे में, बिकॉज ये एक बहुत अच्छी बात करते हैं वो हर बार, एंड सिंस ये डिस्कशन इतना लंबा हो नहीं पाता, तो इफ सुशील सर कैन टॉक अबाउट दिस एज वेल वुड बी लाइक रियली हेल्पफुल फॉर
उस आदमी
रिटेलर्स
का
एज वेल.
उस आदमी का नाम चाहे कुछ भी हो, और हर बार वो आदमी अलग अलग हो सकता है. बट when things seem to be extreme, and when your intellect starts failing कि यहाँ पे लेने का क्या वजह है, कोई वजह नहीं है. See, the best, one cannot keep aspiring to keep doing best trades every day in the life, in any one life. But in hindsight, when you will check out say 100 of your investment or disinvestment decisions, or say maybe 10,000 of your prior trades, you would notice one thing uncannily. The best trades, either in buying or selling, do not happen from your conscious mind. It always happens from the subconscious mind. And the reason for that is that see, in the long run it is the intelligent who will win. But in the short run, by being just intelligent is not enough. One has to be emotionally intelligent. The fight, the stock market is a place where everybody is intelligent, or there is now enough information flow existing that intellect is not for the asking. So it's no longer a competitive advantage. But when you are doing sober investing, when leverage is not making the speed of things devastatingly fast, leverage increases the speed. In that case, you can afford to live a peaceful investing life solely resting upon your intellect. Most, not solely, mostly. But when you are trading markets, everybody is intelligent, and it's not enough. There has to be something more than intelligence. So more than trying to figure out what's that more than intelligence, I paraphrased it to myself. On my trading desk, whenever my brain starts thinking, I don't do trades. When I just go with my instinctive flow, the chart के हिसाब से brain flow कर रहा है. When I start finding reasons to do things, I don't do them. When I keep on thinking more and more, I really rapidly reduce my exposure. One has to trade with a very different attitude. One has to invest with a very different attitude, and to try and do either by the either method will be devastating. You can't invest with emotional intellect only. Emotional intelligence will at most form one third weightage, if at all, or maybe at most one fourth. But while trading, 95% of the game is emotional intelligence. Your intelligence is not enough. Your intelligence will in fact make you buy and sell at the worst places in the day. So forget about who that person is. Mr. India constantly change हो रहा है, but always look for the other hand. If you are a trader, who see, देखो इतना slippage है. By the time you pick up the phone, or do WhatsApp, or send a messenger to your broker, or you are mechanically putting the orders yourself. If you are a small trader, by the time you will, your subconscious mind will instruct you to put a trade, and your fingers are moving. एक बार कभी एरर हो जाएगा, दूसरी बार कंट्रोल एंटर दो बार दबाना भूल गए. Sometimes you'll end up entering a wrong trade. Sometimes the link will fail. So there is a slippage, there is a brokerage, there is a stop loss. And if you are going to keep thinking and then trade to overcome this wig, brokerage, slippage, and stop losses, as a thinking trader, is a guaranteed bankruptcy ticket. So always, when the brain has started thinking, suspend your own thinking and think about अभी साला जिगरा लेके कौन खड़ा है बाजार में. That question helps in not feeling that you are a contrarian. The whole, see, maybe my attitude got colored. I'm not sure for what. There was a book, I'll remember I'll try and recall the name of that author, and I'll look up that book. In fact, I could never find the original copy of that book, so I made a bad Xerox copy some 27 years ago, and I still keep rereading it often. That book is Trade with the Insiders. Uh, Tony Plumer. Yes, Tony Plumer is a very gifted author. He wrote only 2 books. A lot of stuff he is described in that book is a bit esoteric in terms of the diagrams and the flow charts he made. But the psychological grain that Tony Plumer put into my head from that book, and I've only got a tattered Xerox which I want to really preserve, or maybe somehow get somebody to retype the whole thing and reproduce all the diagrams. But it should be available somewhere. Tony Plumer has one more book, Why Technical Analysis Works. So that book is very much available. I'll strong half the ideas are in that book, Why Technical Analysis Works. So maybe that's the influence that built into me early. But simple idea, in any competitive pursuit, with multiple teams playing, if the majority opinion is very rational, right? Who's doing the irrational thing and why is he doing it? Maybe he has got deeper pockets. यहाँ से और 400 पॉइंट घटेगा तो उसकी ताकत है. उसको देखो, एक जमाने में यूटीआई वाज द ओनली लार्ज इंस्टीट्यूशन इन द मार्केट. Please allow me to tell you this anecdote. In 1993, when I started working for Jakes at Prime Securities, and I was the only guy assisting on the trading desk, all the other fresh recruits were on the investing side. So he allowed me the luxury of watching charts when nobody in Bombay was doing that, and most other colleagues would say, "ये साला सबको पप्पू बना रहा है. He's doing something that nobody can evaluate in the office." So it was a very solitary thing. So I built my networks into UTI to try and sniff. It was not at all illegal activity. It is also a part of research. I was not trying to steal that data, but I would estimate what are the likely daily cash flows for UTI over the next 15 working days. And on days that UTI would have a large cash outflow, expected, and I almost started getting it right 80-90% of the time by estimates. I would speak to their national head of marketing, I would speak to the regional heads, I would even try and sniff, पर होता नहीं था. Luckily, always, even at the infancy of my career, could get to have access to the top guys at UTI. Maybe I used to talk cute things or funny things for whatever reasons. They gave me audience, right from Mr. M. Kapoor to, except for Mr. Fairwani, I could never access him, and he was already into the sunset when my career started in '93. But all the other heads at UTI, and M. Kapoor Saab was there for 14 years, so got close to him. None of those guys would reveal, and I would also ask them seriously, but I would estimate that data. And what I figured out from the behavior of UTI, for survival, forget about doing well, the outsized exposure UTI had on the market versus all others. UTI को उल्टा ही सौदा करना था. यूटीआई को गिरते हुए बाजार में आके माल लेना है, और गर्मी जहां चढ़ी हुई यूटीआई को बेचना है. So if there are very large operators in this market, whoever they may be, put yourselves in the shoes of Mr. India, somebody who's very big in the market. he cannot buy and sell normally like you and me with a stop loss. So if the big boys have started, the pressure of contra buying is visible on the screen or on the chart, while the news tape, the television, the social media, the blogs are all chattering. WhatsApp is totally full of blood red. But your oscillators and momentum indicators are, the acceleration on the downside of the market has been arrested. Prices are still going down. Momentum has stopped going down. Momentum has started making higher readings. आंख बंद करो माल लो. So my journey has brought me to a point that whether I laugh at myself, and I say I wrote 9 postgraduate qualification in finance not to prove that I know more than others. I wanted to keep doing it to see what I started off in the markets with charts. Is there some way by which I can reject them and I can find a way कि ये साला काम नहीं करेगा, इसमें कुछ गड़बड़ है, तू बेवकूफी कर रहा है. So I kept on trying to find a proof that I am on the wrong path. And in that process, maybe if I studied everything, my conclusion still today is, you've got a good brain. Even being intelligent is in indulgence. Vani ka
Uh,
vilas, buddhi ka vilas. Eventually, good decision making happens from your subconscious mind, and innocence is supreme. Too much information in this universe is robbing us of our innocence, and the maturity isn't always reclaiming your innocence. So
yeah.
to me, innocence comes in markets by suspending my own intellect, the devil's advocate. you know Instead of keeping on fighting my own case, I kind of take a back seat to see the arguments of the other lawyer. And if he's more convincing, I'll go with that. अपनी अपनी
Sushil,
करते रहने से तो बाजार में कुछ होगा नहीं.
yeah, Sushil sir, point taken, point taken, and we agree with you on this. Um, I also got Sharad Shah over here, and I see a lot of people, uh, Meet Shah and all. I've sent them requests. Please, guys, do join in and share your views with us. Yeah, Sharad Shah, sir, you can speak.
Whatever I heard on this space,
Yeah.
I disagree with most of it. This Russia thing and all is not going to affect us much. But the rumblings that are happening is due to the uh, this assembly elections, and also the results of the companies are nowhere near the valuations that they are. So I think we have a very, very, very long time sideways or downwards. My preference would be downwards. And the last point is 2019 and March 2020 to October 2021. Please remove that period from your mind. It was abnormal. It won't come again for 10, 15 years again. This kind of rush. And secondly, we are going gaga over the reforms and all. But I don't know as much as other people know. But it's all not there. They say so much on this capital expenditure. Somebody explained it is only 1%. So, and and believe me, India's balance sheet is broken. Whatever jugglery they might do, it might sustain for another year or so. Thereafter, it's going to be very difficult. And why would anybody want to buy a stock at SOTP at or at 30p, 40p for what? You will never make money. This March 2020 to October 2021, one should just remove it from their memory. Let the markets come down substantially. Don't think of buying, 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 buying all the time. Just take it easy, enjoy your money, much
Uh,
better when the
yeah,
times will.
Sharadji, I guess Safed has a counter there. Safed, you can go ahead.
Yeah, my advice to everybody from my side, I'm not trying to circumvent, is that I totally disagree with what has been indicated, and I'll give you 100 reasons for it. First of all, the market averages a 15% return per year, documented. So that 15% return does not come if you sit outside the market, because once you sit outside the market, you are basically thinking as if somebody will come and tell you that now exactly from 0 point you are going to make 30% returns for the long term average to be 15%. It doesn't happen that way. Secondly, I'm absolutely convinced that people do not understand PE, price to earning. Price to earning is not a figure that is taken based upon what is the position today. Price to earning depends upon where the companies will be tomorrow. India has not gone through a capex cycle. India has gone through very high interest rates. It has gone through completely distorted raw material prices. It has gone through government not spending. The government has transformed the spending. You are looking at an annual report and saying that the spending is not happening. Please look at the surveys of the top CEOs. Every single person from Tata's to Larsen and Toubro to whichever Ultratech Cement and all are talking about capex. Hear what Mr. Munjal today spoke about his company, or as a proxy to Auto, or even if you talk about Maruti or any other leader in that sense, look at that thing. If the price to earning changes, and the last point I want to make is, when the market earnings are depressed, the returns are come from that moment. They do not come actually. If you look at it, when the earnings were the highest, and the market was basically at a lower P because the earnings were highest, we fell. We always fall because after that the next year earning will fall. We are right now at the cusp. Also, this entire bunkum, and I'm sorry to use this word, is a bunkum that the Nifty is at a wrong valuation. The Nifty has comprised of losses of State Bank of India, losses of Bharti, losses of Tata Motor, losses of Tata Steel. What are you talking about? Oh, where these losses are sitting now? The only guys who are left behind this curve in the entire Nifty constituents are the IT companies that are sitting on the highest level of border intake, highest level of job intake, and we are saying that the earnings are distorted. No, they are not distorted at all.
Safir, I don't want to get into an argument because I am a very,
For argument, I charge. For advice, I hear are all my friends.
you know, in you I see a real bull, I think you should come down a bit from the ground. Don't
Sir, you are again
hear what
absolutely
the
wrong, because you missed my talk only. My talk started by saying that I'm not bullish. You have not understood my talk only. My talk was that I'm not bullish, but I'm not foolish to sit out of the market, waiting for the market to come and knock on my door. ये कोई knock knock joke नहीं होने वाला मेरे साथ.
but do you think on my saying you will be sitting out? No, I was just
Sir,
expressing
I'm not
my.
going to sit out. I simply will not sit out because of the rationality that I've explained on
So
earnings, because of
this
the
is
fact.
my opinion. Let me have my opinion. Only time will tell. And 15%, if you knock out March 2020 and October 2021, it is not there. I can lay a bet with you.
So I'll lay a bet with you in March 2020, 2020. I will show you tweets that said, let's be bullish. Let me see your tweets.
No, that's not the point. The point is, if you
It
knock
is the
out
point,
this,
because it is the point,
no,
because we are
you hear me out.
undermining
If you
a
knock that period
transformation that
out,
is happening.
if you knock that period out, there is no 15% return. That's what I'm saying.
You are absolutely wrong, and I will take a bet with you. In 50 years of the capital market, the market is compounded at 15% per annum. How do you
That
think
is
the
without
BSE
dividends.
Sensex is? How do you
That
think
is
the
without
BSE
dividends,
and
Safir. With dividends, it's more.
सर वो करेक्ट, वो तो आप ज्यादा जानते हो मुझसे ज्यादा. आई एम नॉट कमेंटिंग, आई एम जस्ट
No, no,
सेइंग.
no.
ये आप क्या बोल रहे हो? 2 साल आपको लगता है कि 2 साल में बीएससी का सेंसेक्स 300 से पहुंच गया 50,000? क्या बात कर रहे हो सर?
अरे आप भी सफीर भाई, आप लॉयर हो, पर बात को तो समझो मैं क्या बोला. आप 50 साल पहुंच गए क्या? वो 50 साल से मैं ट्रेडिंग करता हूँ. वो छोड़ो ना साफिर भाई, आपको तेजी लगता है मुबारक हो, नहीं लगता है मुबारक हो, आपको बाहर बैठना है अंदर बैठना है, दिस इज माय व्यू, एवरीथिंग इज हम्बक,
सर
हम्बक
मैं ये
मीनिंग
नहीं बोल रहा, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि मैं तेजी में हूँ या मंदी में, वो तो मैंने शुरू में भी कमेंट नहीं दिया। मैं आपको ये बोल रहा हूँ, आप बोल रहे हो कि 2 साल के अंदर मार्केट ने 15% कंपाउंड किया। मैं बोल रहा हूँ आप 10 साल ले लो, मार्केट 15% कंपाउंड करती है हर साल।
एक लास्ट बात बोलता हूँ।
So sorry guys for muting. So this conversation is going in a different direction. Let's come back to our topic, instead of going that way. Okay. So I see a lot of people. Prashant Malik is there. Meet Shah is there. I see a lot of good people. So I've invited them. Please, guys, do accept and come and share your views with us if possible. And okay, Sharad has left the spaces. Fine. So first of all, also I would like to thank everyone for joining in. We are more than 2,200 people, and at this like time, it's great. And thanks Safir and Sunil sir and other speakers for joining in and sharing your views. Today has been an amazing day and amazing learning for all of us. Thanks again.
See, I'm
Um,
sorry that I intervene, and I want to. The reason I intervene is not because I have a strong view. Because when I started my discussion, and I'm saying that I don't have a clear view on the market, it's a fact. But why do I come in intervene in this? Because the retail, if you look at the history of returns, whether it is in India or it is in other markets, the reason why the retail does not make money is the retail exits. Very
right. They
simple.
enter at the top and exit whenever they see this storm coming in.
And they try too much, too hard. See, either you have the technical competence to time the market, which for example some people have, some people don't have. I'm not trying to get into the camp of being able to get the market timing right. Mr.
Yes.
Kedia can do it right, some of the other people can do it right. I don't have that capability, right? But I have the capability to understand that those businesses are not going to withdraw. Their businesses are not going to withdraw from what they're doing. They will do their best job to bring in efficiency. They will, unless there is mismanagement, and they will over and all make utilization of capital. Now you sit out of the market. I'll give an example. Suppose you sit out of the market. So 7% तो inflation ले जाएगा आपका. तो 7% वो minus कर दो. Dividend आपका zero है. Because then you have no dividend coming in when you're not invested in the market. Then you have a mental block, because then when you miss the FOMO, what is FOMO? When the same stocks go up, then you feel regret and say, I saw it at 200, I didn't buy it, why should I buy it at 300? And then people come and say, how do you make 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times returns? You make them by being invested in the companies over a long term cycle. How else do you make them? There's no other mantra.
See, the problem with these conversations is बाप बेटे भी डिनर टेबल पे खाना खाए बिना उठ जाते हैं. तेजी मंदी को डिस्कस करना फ्यूटाइल है. We should not ever make such conversations a contest of whose logic is greater. I think hearing out everyone's perspective helps attain a understanding of, on the average, net, where is the distribution of emotions and feelings and analysis and logic in the market. ये जो लोग पर्सनल हो जाते हैं ना, और ये अनफॉर्चुनेटली, you know forget about mere mortals, the gods of television, the TV anchors, they end up getting into a bad rat race. मेरा कॉल उस टीवी चैनल के एंकर के कॉल से बेटर है. तो ये अपना व्यू देना, और when the human mind easily ends up confusing its mojo to be its ability to forecast the next move. ये बहुत लोगों के साथ होता है. और इसीलिए अक्सर स्पेसेस पे where the discussion is going on, where is the market going next for this one day event of Russia of 15%, या अगले एक महीने में कहाँ जा रहा है. I try to be averse, and only when I notice a very congenial atmosphere in which a good give and take is happening, तो थोड़ा बोल के थोड़ा सुन लो. But अक्सर 99% of the time, good families have a rule: at the dinner table no stock market to be discussed. Cricket और stock market, cricket match का और stock market का discussion नहीं करना है, because each person will have very strong opinions because each person is very intelligent, and the challenge comes, different people are trying to achieve different things over different time frames in different kind of exposures. No two people are same in this market. Somebody's income stream is very different. Somebody's income stream is सारा दिन डब्बे के सामने बैठ के income आएगा. Somebody is having an income stream where he makes large checks every week, and somebody is making a lot of laborious jobbing income or intraday trading income on the screen. तो सबका इनफ्लो का कलर अलग है, एंड इसीलिए सबके एक्सपोजर्स और सबकी पर्सनैलिटी अलग है. दीज कॉन्वर्सेशंस इनवेरिएबली लीड टू स्मोक एंड hardly little light. So most of the time I prefer spaces where either I'm listening, like Safir was keeping on talking from a very different perspective. I seldom expose myself to so much of that descriptive thinking. So it was bliss for me that I'm getting something new to my brain, or something that I don't feed my brain with often. So I think we should assemble at these spaces to pick up a lot more food for thought. We should come here to learn fishing together. कोई whale पकड़ रहा है और कोई piranha पकड़ रहा है. But to try and figure out which is the right fish to eat for dinner or lunch tomorrow, उस पे झगड़ा ही होना है सिर्फ, because all of us are doing different things.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. The point that I'm trying to share for the benefit of so many viewers, there are more than 2,000 people on this talk, is that just try and think rationally. Forget about the market timing, because like I had told you in my talk also,
Safir, I
it is all.
completely agree with you. You are
नहीं नहीं
right for who you are. You
हाँ
are
जी
right for who you are. But a
मैं
lot
वो
of
नहीं बोल रहा
people
हूँ
on
मैं
these
कुछ
spaces, they
हाँ जी
come and
सर
thrust themselves कि भैया मेरा view, my way or highway, and the spaces get spoiled. So
correct.
Ashutosh did the right thing by muting everyone then.
I'm just sharing an experience, a logical experience, which is not to do with timing the market. Let us take an example that for whatever reasons I agree with, for example, which I'm not saying that I do, but let me assume that I agree with Mr. Sharaz would quit the market. पहले तो आप कंप्यूट करो कि आप टैक्स कितना पे करोगे. तो आप अपने सारी जो आपने क्योंकि प्रॉफिट बनाया 2 ईयर से ही सेइंग उसका आप टैक्स कंपोनेंट निकाल दो बिकॉज इमीडिएटली आपको टैक्स लग जाएगा. फिर आपने कॉस्ट ऑफ सिटिंग आउट ले लिया, which is itself a very huge cost to pay in the market. The market is never all or nothing. Even if you exit, you'll have to sit out of the market. It will be so difficult for you to find ideas, having sold your best ideas to sit out of the market. Then you decide to time the market as if you have got the astrological powers and you've got the numerological powers to know exactly what stock to buy at what price as it has to give you return. Then you have to adjust against the inflationary situation. By the way, inflation is very good for stocks because
Yes,
in inflation, and we are calling inflation bad, and we are saying no, we should run away from that.
inflation is a reason to celebrate the stock market.
करेक्ट. सो अब क्या ज्यादा से ज्यादा अगर नहीं खरीदना मत खरीदो. जो पड़ा हुआ है sit with whatever your stocks are, let it be, unless there's, of course, if there's something wrong with your company, then that's completely different. If you are over invested in the market, it may be different. If you are sacrificing your needs or to enjoy life and to have dinner and to go out for a holiday, then you are in a different situation. What else are you supposed to do? You are a rational human being. You've invested in a business. We always keep quoting Warren Buffett. We are invested in a business as if the market could be closed forever and all, but we're not willing to even say. We just have discussions on what happens with Russia's fall of this thing. Now you're speaking about Russian market down, but you're not explaining why the Bitcoin market is holding. Why is the Bitcoin not crashing? Why is Europe not crashing? And by the way, if you come up and tell me that in Europe Germany is down, then I will say, have you read why Germany is down? They have reported an inflation in excess of 25%. So the problems of Germany are not the problem of FT. Now let us give another example. Why are we not celebrating the fact that UK has today said that all the restrictions on COVID are being removed? Because restrictions being removed means business will have a free flow. Na? Business is supposed to be how we value stocks. So why are we not celebrating that relative to last month when we had Omicron problems and other things? The world is today feeling much more safer vis-a-vis the viruses and wants to get normal. But we are not reacting to that. And what if this itself is going to be the catalyst for the next bull run market, for example? Then what do we do? Also, you are reacting so much to the US taking on Ukraine, but you don't realize that in US there is a problem that of elections. There's a problem of popularity that Biden is facing. US likes to create a sort of an environment where it comes and says we have become saviors. because it is a political move also to that extent. Why is every few minutes, hours later, US is only commenting on everything happening? Russia says we withdrawn troops. America says no, you're going to attack right now. Let's overcome. If there's an attack, suppose there's an attack, either two things will happen: either the market will crash or the market will go up. If the market crashes and if the war is serious, what are you going to do? Anyways, your business will suffer first, now. If the world is going to get
सफीर
at
सफीर
war,
एक सेकंड के लिए प्लीज मुझे इंटरफेयर करने दीजिए.
Hanji, sure, sir.
I'm loving your eloquence, but on that point about the argument that happened, बहुत simple है. Everyone knows you are a very systematic and methodical investor, and every old hat on Dalal Street knows that Sharad Bhai is a very systematic bear attack mind. He will wait out for months. 6 महीने कुछ नहीं करेगा मार्केट में और आएगा एकदम से बुरी तरह ठोकम ठाक मचाएगा. So you guys, it's like this. This the bedroom fights are only because men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But in the stock market, every individual is from a different solar system. So, two people deciding together by a committee where is the market going is never going to happen. Consensus आएगा ही नहीं. इसीलिए there is constant volatility and constant fluctuation. So let's forget that argument that happened and let's build on this thread.
Sir, I'm not going on where the market direction is. When my standard caveat is that I would like to observe so many factors in the next days, and for doing that, I'm anyways
हाँ तो वो
invested.
बिल्कुल अंडरस्टूड है.
हाँ,
आप पहले भी बहुत
so
डिटेल में बता चुके हो.
so
And
I am
you
paying
and
a
Sharad.
subscription fees. I am paying a subscription fees. अगर मेरा portfolio अगर आज 1% गिरा या इस हफ्ते. By the way, let me tell you another thing, just for your information of all you listeners. I may be outperforming the fall, but I don't feel happy about it because I want to believe in the fact that I can do better. When I say that I want to do better, my brain will say, how do you do better? And like Sushilji was saying, there is a lot of intuitive power in investing. That intuitive power is coming from past data. It is coming from the environment around you. It is coming from having seen a lot of drawdowns and having come out from that. And it is coming from an innate belief, which until shaken, should continue to be in your system. Now, still, I'm not trying to say be bullish or something. I'm just trying to give you a ideology of this. So if you don't know, for example, and also I'll tell you something on bears. And while it was as comment was made that I'm a perennial bull, I started off by telling you I'm a perennial bull, and that could be a bias that I suffer from. But a bull does not necessarily say that every day is to go up. Sometimes the bull will accept that I will have a 10% drawdown or I'll have a bad day like we've been having since January. It's a part of life. We can't do anything about it. If I like the company on 1st of January at a higher price, why should I not like it today? I have no answer to give to myself, then I will remain invested.
Yeah, I guess now this conversation is again not going anywhere. Also, we have a hard stop loss of 12 p.m. for this conversation, as we all need to be ready for tomorrow and tomorrow's action. Uh, so probably let's get to closing remarks. So Safir or Sushil sir, anyone of you can start, and let's.
I'll
Well,
try to sum up in 5 or 7 lines.
Yeah.
I am sold out to the idea because I haven't found data for any single war becoming the reason for a sustained bear market. That even if markets fall further from here, I'm talking about a sustainable time frame. ये 5-10 दिन का game नहीं. So Russian war is actually good news because war either creates scarcity of actual physical goods and some industries are going to really benefit big time, or war creates a scarcity of risk takers. So war is not my concern as a market participant. History is proof that it is war is perhaps the only data to study which has got 100% hit rate, that every war has created a bottom, it's never created a top. So all of us being intelligent, we'll keep on waking up till 12 o'clock in the night and monitoring कौन क्या बकर बकर कर रहा है. But most of the time, even from primitive ages, Sun Tzu's book Art of War describes the ideal warfare and the pinnacle of warfare according to Sun Tzu. And Sun Tzu's thin 144-page book is still a must read in every military academy and in every strategy room, in any war room, corporate war room, election war room. Sun Tzu's manual Art of War is a must read. The of the various virtues of a high class warrior, the pinnacle of war virtues he describes is the best warriors shall have already fought the war in the mind
and the troops shall march to engage very briefly to only pick up victory. So in modern warfare, and when superpowers are involved, and we know when at stake is a piece of cake, which which apparently one person is avenging, but there is a share for others most of the time. So ये वॉर का जो ड्रामा है ना, मतलब वो क्या बोलूं, मैं सभ्य भाषा में नहीं बोल पा रहा, तो केजरीवाल की भाषा में बोल देता हूँ. ये सब मिले हुए हैं. बोलना ज्यादा गड़बड़ नहीं होगा, तो वॉर को ज्यादा एनालाइज मत करो. द कंसर्न इज the bigger concern, the second worst concern that intelligent minds are talking about is the US Fed. Rising interest rates and rising interest rate cycle and rising stock market is also a certainty from last 50 years of data. But there is a worry I have, and that worry is, some of you will laugh at it. Lots of stocks, their charts are kind of showing there is a mild melting, an unnoticeable melting down in mid cap and small cap prices is happening. और ये जो मुनाफे की दारू पे बाजार पनपा था, न्यूबीज केम टू द मार्केट इन 2020 वन वे अंट शंट किसी भी स्टॉक में प्रॉफिट बनता जा रहा है, एंड दैट प्रॉफिट, दैट हाउस मनी became the gambler's delight for the newbies to keep on staking more and more into the market. So the more important liquidity for the stock market is its internal liquidity. Liquidity is a combination of two things: willingness and ability. Ability was supplied in the crisis period by Fed, when this world is more than able to take so much risk, and the willingness of the masses to take so much financial risk has been there. Fed is tapering down the ability, but मेरे को खतरा ये लग रहा है कि ये जो willingness थी ना market में to keep on taking larger risk, that is keeping getting eroded with the wider erosion of these B group stocks, the non-F&O stocks. That is the actual bigger worry than Fed and the Russian market. So that I will still need to watch, and if at all I reduce my bullish expectations for the rest of the year, it will be really because price behavior on B group stocks continues to erode, and if it starts becoming a bottomless pit, I'll give up.
Thanks, Sushil, sir, for your views. Before Safi, you speak, just something I would like to highlight. Coming from news, a summit between Russia, France, and US will be off the table if Russia recognizes the breakaway regions. EU says so. That would be Donbas. I guess Russia is already recognizing it as an independent territory. So I don't know how this is gonna pan out, but that it's coming in news. So yeah, Safir, if you would like to,
Yeah,
uh,
see, the point I'm trying to make is that while you have rightly set up a discussion based upon the worry of the Russian market being down XYZ, how does it make a difference to your journey is what I'm trying to understand. Let's assume the market is down 1.5% tomorrow, which it was anyways today, and it was on Friday or last week or continuously. What will happen? What will happen to my ideology of buying a stock if it is down 1.5%? Nothing. So that is one point. Second point is that while we look at, see, I also study the market system. It's not that I just study stocks, right? Because it's a part of education. Like, for example, I wrote about how the NSE stock value will degrade with this controversy, which already come down 600 rupees in just 5 days, and I think it will come down more. I'm just giving an example. There has to be a logic to it. The logic there is because the IPO will not come, so by normal logic of a delay of 1 year, by an inflation rate of 7% and a premium to a delay, you'll say, okay, 15% the value or roughly 12% the value will degrade, adjusted for any earnings that they may report at this point of time. Simultaneously, the Bombay Stock Exchange stock is going up from the last so much time because somebody must be thinking that there's chances vis-a-vis NSE of becoming better. Maybe on compliance, maybe they'll become SEBI's blue-eyed boy. I'm just giving you an example. So when we look at the bears, the entire system of bears that was dominated in our market was at a time when the market had privileged information, like you saw in the 1984 scam or whatever, the 1990 that movie thing. Today the bears do not have the same ability because the bears today are us only. I'll only become a bear the moment I sell. The moment, suppose I start selling one of my stocks, suppose I have 10 stocks and I sell one of my positions and I say the best is done, I'm a bear in that stock and I'm a bull in the market generally. So we are all bulls and bears when we behave. The situation is going to be, is the market going to see a buoyancy because of the economic change? That economic change, one of your discussion on Twitter should be, is there a threat to India's growth? If there is no threat to India's growth, then the market will be subservient to that. Because of, if anything else, if the companies are not able to apply that capital that they have to grow, then they will distribute it to you as dividend. Then dividend yields will become higher. Dividend yields will become higher. They will start competing with another asset class. Again, they'll attract people. Like today's newspaper in the morning said that Prashant Jain has bought 3 companies because the dividend yields are very high. So then the buyer will come for some other reason. So don't lose your sleep on whatever this headline news is. Be invested. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we
okay.
can.
I was saying the signal is weak, and find your own pockets of little fountains that you can spot and be cheerful about it. What else will do you have to do? If you want to sell, suppose for some whatever reason you are jittery, wittery, or XYZ, you want to sell 2% of your portfolio, sell 4% of your portfolio. That's it. That's enough for you.
Right, right, right. Thanks, Safir. So, the rationale behind this topic and this conversation actually was, um, a lot of things that we think is very obvious and is common sense, but people, don't take it as common sense, or people are, very oblivious about it. So this topic, when I started, you see, this topic should not get this much hype as it got today. Close to, yeah, more than 2,200 people joined this conversation. So this proves the point that people wanted to know more about this, or wanted to hear on this. So we might think that this is a very obvious thing, that why would Russia, or anything for that matter, impact Indian markets or for any long term investor. But people, like Sushil sir said, that we are intellectual and curious beings, and we like to think and try to understand what's going on. So I guess,
So I have a very
yeah.
simple question to ask. It's a fact. I mean, it's not like a question. I'm just sharing with you. Why is it
Uh-huh.
that Vanguard, with its entire colossal size, outperforms the market? Why, despite its size and the disadvantage of size, why does it outperform continuously? Whereas it is technically just doing an ETF. Because they, when the market falls, they do not stop their buying. They just keep, they say it's all a part of a cycle, and since we don't want to make a choice between A and B, we'll keep buying whatever is our basket of our best stocks. Now what happens is the retail behaves exactly opposite. That the retail wants to buy stocks when they go high. They would have, for example, when I came and spoke about platform companies, and I bought IndiaMart at 1,300, when I wrote at 8,500 to sell, then people were questioning it, because then they become themselves, they become IndiaMart. Now when the stock crashes down to 5,000 rupees, and you say now there's inherent value and you can again buy it, then they come and say, okay, if there is value, then there should be value in everything else that has fallen. But all platforms are not the same. Every business is different. So today, if you liked XYZ, whether you liked a CDSL, or I'm just giving examples, or you liked a pharma company, or you liked a consumer company, or you liked XYZ, if you liked it, then you utilize your life. The positive news for you is that human expectancy of life is itself going up. So you have longer term to compound now. So that itself should encourage you. If those साल जो COVID में we are wasted, we will be able to recoup if we are able to live 2 years more. Firstly, which is itself good from an investment perspective. You all know Warren Buffett compounded after a certain age. That is point number one. Point number two is that you have to look at your options. What is your option of keeping the money out? You can have cash. I don't have a problem. You can do what you want to do. But will you be able to come and buy your favorite stocks? If they have if they go up slightly, you'll have a FOMO. Then you will come and say, I had this stock, I sold it. Now and I'm waiting for the dip. Most retail investors miss the market waiting for dips. When dips come, they don't buy it. Like, I also don't understand this. A lot of people say it's good that the market is correcting, it's good for long term investors. I don't believe this, because if I'm invested and the market corrects, I lose money on the portfolio. So what is that little money lying in my pocket or bank account going to do, even if I make some little bit of buying here and there? It is just going to give me the satisfaction that over जैसे दरिया का पानी मिलता है, Well, it'll only give me satisfaction that all these buyings will eventually accumulate into one portfolio, and that eventually the portfolio will do well, because that's the history of the market. It has always done well. And because there's sector rotation and there's reversion to mean, therefore you should buy a mixed basket. You should have some large cap, mid cap, small cap, XYZ sector, this sector, that sector, that sector, that sector. Now, whether your leadership comes from metal, it comes from IT, it comes from consumer, it comes from pharma, it's all a matter of time. You choose your best companies in that particular sector and be invested. And what if tomorrow the market is up for whatever reason? Suppose the market for some reason goes up tomorrow. Will we have another space to come and say that what are we now doing because the market has gone up? Is it the turnaround sign? I think that 1-2% will not make a decisive move right now. The other day when it went up 3%, in January, you see the market fell. After then the budget came, the market rallied. Then again the market has fallen. So this is fine. It's volatility all around the world. The world is very confused right now. And I'll tell you something. Every 1 hour, the Russian headline that will come, we will not even understand what they mean.
Absolutely. Yes.
क्या करें फिर?
Yeah. Obviously, we don't understand the geopolitics and other situations there. It's more of
अब
an
पता
entertainment.
if you Google this on Twitter, because that's where Twitter analytics is there, people are talking about a bloodbath in America. Then some people said, but American market is closed. So half of the people said, oh, thank God. Then the other half came and said, but the Dow futures trades, but the Dow future is not down so much. It's only down 170 points at that time when I saw. I don't know what right now. 170 points for Dow future is a matter of 5 minutes. So why?
Yes. Agree.
What can we do about it? Nothing.
Right. So, Safir, this is the reason actually, we conduct these Twitter spaces. I actually conduct a lot of spaces, and fortunately, I've been able to attract people like you who come and share regularly the views with us. And maybe we have educated a lot of people, helped a lot of people. I get a lot of people DMs from people who says that they are better after they have attended the space, and probably they have some have exited the stocks that we talk. Some uh, get more confidence about holding for the long term, and feel that it is creating a lot of positive impact. And I would request from all of you guys to be join our spaces regularly, and share your wisdom with us. It's amazing, absolutely amazing talking to you guys. Yeah, that said, we have Meet finally. So welcome, Meet. Hi.
Um, Hi Ashutosh, thanks for giving me the opportunity. It's tough to take the tempo higher because Safir sir and Sushil sir has already set the tone of this spaces at good levels. So I don't know whether the war will happen or not. Even my sense is that nobody wants war, but everybody wants to sell bullets and arms. And I have seen many successful investors in my life, and one common trait they have is they have held on to their winners even at the 50% drawdowns multiple times in their investing life. So even Sensex started at 100 in 1979 and reached 60,000. It's like 600x, and we have seen multiple big events in between, right? So I don't know where the market will go in short or medium term. It's a futile discussion कि हम किसी से मतलब इसका discussion करें. Nobody knows, okay? Because everything has its own cycle. But one thing I know is that good companies at good prices rarely comes together. So when they come, make sure to use it to your benefit. That's it. That's what my limited knowledge says. Thanks. Period. Thank you.
Thanks, Meet. Actually, you said a lot of things in very little words.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, guys, with this, Pulkit and Ayush, would you like to say anything closing? Okay, I guess they're not here. So with this, let's close this. We had more than 2,200 people. We had Safir, Sushil sir, and a lot of people as speakers. Amit sir. So thanks a lot for joining in, and it's been absolutely amazing talking to you guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening and night, and let's see you guys another day. Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye
while
bye,
we
everyone.
conclude, while we
Thank
conclude,
you.
I just want to share a very simple anecdote,
Yes,
because
yes. Please,
anecdotes are
please. Yeah.
they're very good metaphors. Let us take an example that you have a family or whatever, you have a class, you are a head of a class, and in your class there are students. So your students are doing very well every year, they're getting good marks, they're progressing, there's general prosperity, which is what is happening in your portfolio, as a metaphor for your portfolio. Now your best performing, your class that is actually performing best, you are an IIT IIM class and you're performing best, all of a sudden somebody falls sick. So do you say that no, throw him out of the class? You believe in him, no? You look at him and you say that nothing happens, I'll give him the ability to recoup, he'll probably have some vitamins or some medicine, he'll get fine. When he gets fine, he'll be able to run faster and catch up with whatever days, if he did not attend college for those days, he'll catch up. The same is the logic with stock markets. When you That is why 28 days makes all the difference, because when you have a lag effect, don't forget, when the bull wants to charge, he charges like anything. If Russia problem is announced, for example, suppose a solution announced and tomorrow the market is up 3%, we'll all look so silly that we were trying to decipher this 3% because we didn't know. And if it has to fall 3%, it will not even give us a chance. It will open down 3%, which is what happens when the market opens 1500 points down. What do? We can't do anything. It's already opened 1500. Then we are only sitting and praying that 1500 becomes 1000 becomes 500, and eventually the moment it becomes, we are bearish at 1500, we're all worried what is happening to our stocks. When it starts recovering at 500, we just change sides and we think, oh, now it's a time to buy. So in human psychology, when the market is in a state of any fall like it is right now, we all become by human nature, by our danger, when we move from the being apes into humans, we become soft, we become we become short sighted, because for us the paramount thing is security right now. And in the ability, in the move towards security, when we try and say that we should not lose money, we should do anything, we forget that in the opportunity in the long run. Now a group of people in the world capitalize on the downtrend, and they convert the adversity, they convert this adversity into opportunity. And that is why the world wealth is distorted, because when this fall happened, even in COVID, a few people took advantage. They are now the largest companies in the world, and this is the history of mankind all over. So same logic you should apply to investing. You should say, if it is, I'm going to try and emulate all these successful stories all around the world. This is happened in every single thing, even in wars, even in history. Somebody went to conquer the world, somebody went to discover the world. Nobody sat in the forest now, otherwise we would have never become human. Darwin said now that our thumb made all the difference, otherwise we would have not even become human beings. So that thumb rule is also, what is the thumb telling us? The thumb is giving us strength. We have to build inner strength, then you can last for every bull and bear market, and you'll do exceptionally well over a period of time.
Thanks, Safed, for sharing that with us. And it was an amazing, lesson on psychology. We also have a news right now that Putin intends to recognize Donetsk and something, and Ukraine has imposed martial law. Ukraine reports in Ukraine's local media that the country is set to impose martial law or something. So let's keep track on this tomorrow. Maybe it can give a good dip. If people who are for long term, they might probably get a good opportunity to
No, but
enter.
why do you feel, first of all, why do you feel it will dip? Because some of these may be preventive steps, no?
Absolutely, but I'm just looking from a liquidity perspective. So if Russian markets fall and other markets fell, so we might just see a kind of a cascading effect. Uh, Stop losses getting triggered and all those stuff.
See, that's what I'm trying to explain to you, that
Mhm.
unnecessarily we create a sense of panic. Why is the need to have panic in the first place? Because don't forget, let us assume that we were a community and there's a separate community, another room. We all panic and we want to buy. That panic, first of all, somebody else will take before us, which always happens. I am extremely proud about Retail India, because Retail India has now started educating itself. Retail India wants to play the long term game. They are not trying to do this, and that is the biggest catalyst. And there's no reason why they will not do this. It doesn't matter whether they're putting 1,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees, 1 crore rupees into the market. The point is, they've understood that equity is a wealth creator. That is the number one factor in their minds.
Yep.
Acha, tell me
Yeah.
something. You just read out a news. I do not know the implications. I'm not even applying my mind to what is. You've just read out a news for whatever it is worth. Now tell me what is the reaction in the European market to this? Abhi dekh lo. What is the reaction in the Dow
अभी
futures
तो
to this?
बंद होने चाहिए. Dow futures, they are at days low.
What is the Dow future? I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm not that I'm aware. I'll tell you.
Okay.
Dow
It's
future
down.
it's down 0.9.
Yes,
0.9.
0.9. Yes,
Now are you telling me 0.9% is not usual for Dow futures?
it is. It is.
So what are we talking? And why is Dow future down? Because Dow does not have the privilege of trading today. So the market will always have to. You'll always have to pay a premium when there is a lack of liquidity, right? Aapko, if I tell you that I want to buy your shares, which will go for an IPO after 3 years, you'll have to sell them cheaper, no?
Yes.
So if between now and the next 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, suppose the Dow future doesn't move, or other markets where the futures are trading, there are many forms of trading. They're right from Bitcoin to futures to Chicago exchange to many other exchanges. If there's no movement tomorrow morning, see, they're all everybody here is looking at everybody else. We are ostriches putting our heads out and looking at each other. Japan will put up its head and see, let me see what America has done. America will say, let me see what FTSE has done. FTSE will say, let me see what Germany has done. Then FTSE will tell itself, no, Germany had an inflation problem, so ignore it. Then India will say, you know what, I have an expiry coming up, I must take care of that expiry also. And
Yep.
now
We will keep
what is
finding reasons.
Acha, tell me what is oil price?
Just a
That's the
sec.
catch. ऑयल में तेजी नहीं है, गोल्ड में तेजी नहीं है.
Correct. अब oil तो गिरने लग गया है, 90 आ
See,
गया, अब वो कोई बात ही नहीं कर रहा.
most
Oh,
new age young Twitter based traders miss out three things. सबने नया नया टेक्निकल एनालिसिस सीखा है 5-10 साल में. सब लोग ओवर लिवरेज्ड हैं, उनका पर्सपेक्टिव अलग है. शरद शाह लाइफ लॉन्ग बंदड़िए का पर्सपेक्टिव अलग है, सफीर आनंद का अलग है, और मार्केट में सबके लिए जगह है. तीन चीजें क्विकली, बहुत डिटेल में. अब रात के 12:15 हो गए, बात करने का टाइम कम है. जो कोरोना में हुआ, 25 मार्च को लॉकडाउन आया, 23 मार्च को मार्केट बॉटम हो गया. कैलामिटी इज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी. एंड धीरू भाई से ज्यादा पैसा तो इंडिया में अभी तो कोई ने नहीं बनाया है. इट वाज हिज फेवरेट लाइन एंड इट ऑलवेज वर्क्स. एंड द रीजन फॉर दैट इज all intelligent people will respond to calamity by under owning risk, and all wise people, and that brings me to just the second anecdote. There's a Trinity church on Wall Street. Off Wall Street there's a Trinity church. Old timers, the folklores are ट्रिनिटी चर्च के आसपास भूत घूमते हैं. द होबोस, जो वॉल स्ट्रीट होबोस हो जाते हैं, वंस अपॉन ए टाइम वेरी रिच, थिंकिंग रिच, एंड देन सडनली टोटली पॉपर एंड पॉपर फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ देयर लाइफ. सो पीपल हु पास थ्रू ट्रिनिटी चर्च, somehow उनको भूत पकड़ लेते हैं. Few Wall Street traders want to take an exit through the Trinity Church side. They take an exit through the other side. But across the last 200 years, it's a noted phenomenon that whenever crisis hits the market, the real old world money hobbles down to Wall Street from the Trinity Church side on their canes. जो बूढ़े बूढ़े लोग हैं ना, जिनको केन पे चल के आना होगा, they come and sit in their broker's office because they want to do so much of buying. So amongst the Connecticut hedge fund guys, and I actively on a daily basis engage with a lot of them still, despite my hedge fund career having been over 12 years ago or 11 years ago. We are part of a network. We keep chattering till into the late nights. The favorite adage in that group, there's a bunch of some 300 quant traders who are from very diverse backgrounds. Somebody has been a musician, somebody's a chess grandmaster, everybody has had a hedge fund background and a quant background. And in that, the favorite joke on such crisis days is, are there shadows coming from the Trinity Church side? Is it time to take out our own canes? So the real shrewd players of the market, they will look at risk is under-owned, risk is over-owned. Market tops have never happened out of crisis. Market tops have always happened out of a very, very blue sky and very sunny weather. जब सारी दुनिया माल ले चुकी है, किसी के पास और लेने की ताकत नहीं बची, तब ये टॉप होगा. उसमें भी बहुत टाइम है. How we will scale back to new highs, maybe it's going to be postponed by 2 months. But one thing is there, history is indeed a very powerful guide. Not a single market top has happened because a crisis created a top. A crisis never creates a top. Crisis create interim bottoms or final bottoms. Corona was a crisis of biblical proportions, and see where we have come from there. And in this journey, thank God, this Russian event happened now, क्योंकि ये जो विरार तक ट्रेन जाने वाली है, वो अंधेरी पे बहुत ज्यादा क्राउडेड हो गई थी दिसंबर में और पर्टिकुलरली लास्ट ईयर सितंबर में. सो थैंक्स मिस्टर पुटिन. जो ट्रेन पे फ्री लोडर्स थे, ट्रेन की छत पे चढ़े हुए थे, वो सब अभी उतर रहे हैं. ट्रेन हल्की हो गई है, वापस जाएगी विरार. दैट्स ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड.
Thanks a lot, Kidia sir, for sharing this. I guess we should end this now because we have markets tomorrow. So uh, let's. I need to go to sleep at least. So thanks
Yeah,
everyone
let's
for
wind up.
joining in.
It will not end
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yes. So
We'll end up
thanks
making a
thanks.
Trinity Church here only otherwise.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining in. We got a Mr. Last anything if you would like to speak, then just I'll close this.
I'm just going to say thanks and then I'll hear it, just because I won't intervene now.
Okay. Thanks, Safar. Yeah, Amit sir, you are back finally. कहाँ गया यार, आवाज आ रहा है? Not even sure. Okay. Okay, I think his Twitter is unresponsive. So let's just guys just let's wind up here. Thanks everyone for joining in.